friends, welcome to Symbaroum. This is a TTRPG system created by Järnringen. It is a Swedish game. It is kind of like spooky forest things, dark gothic fantasy. Basically, we're in a dungeon that we probably shouldn't be in, and there are mystical powers beyond our comprehension at work, and we're just going around poking things, breaking down doors, grabbing flaming swords. It's a thing. We are playing this game, and it is dungeon mastered by my friend Obdurant. Please take it away.
Yeah, hello and welcome back, because it's been a little bit since our last session, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We left off last time pretty much after the three of you went through a pretty tumultuous escape from a few different things. I think I had Pekome summarize last time. So, Kory, why don't you just give a quick recap of our last escapade?
All right, so one of the things about Symbaroum is that as you get deeper and deeper into the forest, you find more and more untouched ruins. But this is an untouched ruin that has recently kind of been exposed, so it was probably a bit more dangerous and risky for us to be involved at all. In fact, we're actually the remnants of two different groups that have gone in and lost 4 lives in here collectively, and there are 3 of us left. And the reason that we're back is, one, because it is such a pristine ruin that it should be full of wonderful artifacts, some of which we have partook of in perhaps not the wisest of fashion, but necessary fashions. And also we're trying to get Karmeon specifically wants to get his friend's body back because he promised his friend's wife he would bring his body back. That body is probably not intact anymore and has been consumed by trolls. But if it's not, it's only at the bottom of a collapsed-in tunnel inside an arena wherein trolls are. But no, it's probably not intact anymore and probably troll food. So our primary objective is already a failure, and we fell down said collapsed tunnel into said arena full of trolls, fled from said trolls into dark tunnels where we continued to kind of wander in the dark, mostly because we didn't want to alert the trolls that we were running from. Managed to escape the trolls, go up a flight of stairs, rest for the night. Karmeon stepped out to go to the bathroom and was assaulted by a dragonfly, officially, in that it was... What was it like again? It was like a tiny dragon.
Yeah, it's a little more insectoid.
Yeah,
but
like a tiny
it was
dragon
about
mixed with an
human-sized.
Yeah.
With wings.
So what those seem to do is discover prey and then attach themselves to like a ceiling, and from there wait for their prey to more make themselves vulnerable, and then they will ambush and kill you, and nearly did. And between that and another horrible abomination we found that bled acid, Pekome lost all her armor.
Half of my armor.
Half of her armor. So we ransacked a nearby armory, and Pekome is in what is probably elvish armor, which will really not endear us to the elves if ever we find them. And that's where we are, mostly exhausted, beaten, half dead, running low on supplies, starting to turn towards the abominable artifacts of ancient Symbaroum is the nation's name, right?
Yeah, Symbar. Ancient
Symbar, yeah,
would
ancient
probably-
Symbar. We're starting to turn to artifacts from there more and more, as we really just want to get out at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
not
probably, I mean, especially given the mention of turning towards those Karmeon, your character now has two very unusual eyes at this point, thanks to
Yeah,
of the
he found some
signs.
eyedroppers and was able to determine that they won't kill you, and will probably assist your seeing in the dark. And now that they're running really low, he's used one in each eye and has one left. God only knows what that does.
Solid.
It's for your
Okay.
third eye. Your mind's eye.
Drop it on the forehead.
So what does this armor on Pekome look like now?
Let's see. Which suit of armor did Pekome fit into? I feel like described it as pretty pale with sort of immaculate. And an important thing to note is that this treasury room was sort of in stasis, right? There was a protective ward on it.
It was
That-
immaculate.
Yeah, everything was immaculate. Karmeon tried to dirty it up a little bit. He started throwing dust around and was
Spitting.
unable to spoil anything.
Yeah.
Until you guys ended up looting it, at which point that stasis broke. Fortunately, nothing awful seemed to happen as a result, but it does kind of explain the rather fine condition of the armor. And Pekome, who herself is rather tall, is still a little dwarfed by the armor, so can only fit into it, somewhat decently. But did you choose a specific set of armor to take from here?
I don't think I said a specific one.
Okay. Would you like to?
We'll go yellow.
Yellow. Okay. In that case, it's yellow. It isn't, mostly yellow. Most of it is a very pale and sort of glimmering steel that has an unusual coloration. It's almost like there's sort of a whitish cast to it, which doesn't remind you very much at all of the typical metalworking that you've become familiar with through Ambria. But it does seem sturdy, and it does not seem mystically light or anything like that. It's quite cumbersome once you're into the armor. But it does have a yellow trim along the edges that is lacquered into the metal that depicts sort of this gilt image. As best you can tell once you're wearing, well, I guess you can't really see it too clearly once you're wearing it, but as best your companions can tell once you're wearing it, it depicts a few different images. There's a tree sort of growing up the left side of the torso, and the shoulders have what looks to be some manner of floral pattern. Whether it has a specific meaning is unclear. It certainly doesn't look that way at first, but it does. I mean, on the whole, it's a pretty finely made suit of armor for now.
And, well, it is piecemeal with the gear that survived the acid. She did take the rest of the set to have it worked on back in town. and
Yeah,
has
so
it
I
hanging off her
suppose
back.
Pekome is wearing pretty much just the breastplate, right? And then she's
I
got
think it was like the breastplate and the leggings we lost.
okay.
The whole front half of
Mhm.
the torso was mostly sprayed with acid.
Pretty much destroyed, yeah.
Yeah.
I
All right.
believe Maida has a torch. I picked up the torch that we had used to fight.
You took the torch from Karmeon's backpack in the previous.
Yeah,
and
I
lit
think
it.
we're down to 2 torches, 1 container of oil, and no lantern.
Yep.
Yeah.
Someone dove face first into a hole and broke our lantern.
Everyone?
Maida was as nimble as a cat. Maida has no idea what you're speaking of.
And crawls out into the hallway, looking down to the east.
Mayor has been taken care of.
Sorry?
There was another dragonfly out there. Was the joke.
Oh, no. Nope. You're fine.
Please.
Everyone is fine.
Karmeon's gonna,
ahead.
as he steps out into the hollow, kind of look, left and look right and sigh and be like, why are you here? Why are you doing this?
Meira looks over to Pekome. It looks like Meira also wonders this.
Pekome stands stoically for a bit.
Does she eventually respond at all, or
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Carry on.
Karmeon just points to the right and starts heading down said hallway.
Okay. Go ahead and move.
I think this is the 4th time she's ignored that question from him.
Been asked
Meira
fair
will
amount. Wait.
come at the rear. Oh, y'all moving too fast.
Zoom.
We're going there.
Oh
Yes.
God.
All right.
Lost our rhythm. No more skipping weeks. We lose our groove.
We didn't lose our groove. Someone started moving me, so I started moving myself in defiance.
So you can see
Hmm.
to the north end of the passageway. You've basically just reached a form of intersection, and the path continues on to a set of metallic doors that are shut. You can't tell too much beyond that. To the south, there is a chamber, and the door leading into the chamber is functional. It's wooden with sort of iron brackets on it to keep it in place. But it has swung open outward towards the three of you, although it's set in far enough that was a little difficult to tell before you drew closer. And beyond, you can see there's sort of stone tiling on the ground. It's quite different than the white marble that you've been sort of accustomed to here or there. And while you can't see the entirety of the chamber, you do see that it is open, and looks to have been opened somewhat recently.
Which way is it opened?
Out towards you.
So something came out from there.
Oh, possibly.
Time it was
Or the
open.
door just opens that way, yeah.
As lost as we are, an open door isn't any more of a bad sign than it is a good sign. So,
So far,
Karmeon,
all the dangers
well-
have been behind closed doors. Even doors
that's a
we
good
close.
point. That's a
Even
great
doors
point.
that were barred closed that we decided was a great idea to
Oh,
open
we?
up.
Cool. I'm glad we're sharing the credit for that.
Yeah, Karmeon looks into this room
Mhm.
cautiously.
Okay. So the rest of the room is pretty easily revealed to you, and it is empty at the moment.
What?
That's
You
a strong
see-
word.
Well, yeah, I suppose you haven't tested for vigilance, huh? But the stone tiling continues across. But at the center of the room, there is a disruption in the form of these various runes that have been etched into stone, and they've been linked. And although it's red, it's certainly not blood. There's some sort of reddish connection etching a symbol, which is not a pentagram, but that's what I had to work with. But it is sort of an arcane image set into the ground before this fireplace that is lit, and it's burning something, although you might not be able to tell just what. In the northwestern corner of the room, there is a body, or a skeleton more accurately. It's difficult to say how long it's been there. There is very, very, very faint traces of a sort of blackish pool at the bottom of where the figure is curled up. Notably, near the middle where those arcane runes are, and here and there, somewhat less pronounced, heading off towards you, pits have formed in the ground where something has eaten in little droplets here or there into the stonework.
How does the stonework look otherwise? Is it like immaculate like the other room?
It's not. It's
Okay.
actually quite rough. It's not like a stereotypical, dungeon all cold and dank and stuff. It's still dry and well put together, but it's clear that it was more utilitarian. There isn't much that you can tell that appears to be ceremonial or, guilt or anything like that. It's just stone, sturdy stone.
Okay. Maida will check the floor and see if there are signs of recent disturbance.
Mm-hmm. It's difficult to go on. Well, first, let's see just how well she does. Go ahead and
She was hoping you're just gonna give it to her for free.
give a vigilant test. No modifier.
Okay.
I can see very well. Yes, I see it.
Era and failing vigilant tests. Oof.
Name a more iconic pair.
So there isn't too much to go on as far as Mira. And she enters the room, I assume, while she's kind of searching around.
Yes, she will.
Yeah.
Boop.
Cool. You can move around. There's just not much to go on. The room itself doesn't seem to have accumulated much in the way of dust or other, there's no moss, there's no mold, there's very little to be disturbed, given that it's just stone. And so Mera's investigations don't really yield much.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it.
Cool.
Picome slaps Karmeon on the back to get him in the room.
Karmeon actually is probably going to been focusing on his own task while Mahira searches, which is
Sure.
drawing out this horrible abomination of a rune in the center.
Hey, that could be a holy
Okay, so
symbol.
he's-
You don't know.
He's copying it down, like on a piece of
Yeah,
paper or
yeah.
something. Okay.
He's awakened it.
So Peikome's gauntleted fist slams into his back while he's drawing.
Hey, it was open palm.
Open palm. All right, never mind.
All right. Well, there is a, and maybe this is a great thing that there is a horrible line straight through it that just mars the drawing, but otherwise leaves you, pretty aware of the general shape and design of this.
Excellent.
Who knows?
Isn't-
Perhaps Peikome ruining your drawing has prevented you from casting a spell.
It was turn legs into jellyfish.
Is Peikome doing anything else right now?
No.
No. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So you still have the
Supervising.
room here. There are. Let's see. What else is there in here? Not much meets the eye. Other than that fireplace, the sigil that Karmeon is sketching out. There are a couple things on the mantle of the fireplace, but you'd have to investigate them.
Maida
this-
will slink closer, but she will not touch the arcane symbol.
Okay.
This seems like a room maybe best left alone.
Peikome is saying that, I imagine.
Yes.
Okay.
Peikome says as the black gift strapped to her back sings its blood song
Excuse you, it's not unsheathed right now.
while on fire.
It's sleeping.
Yeah, Karmeon's not gonna disagree. He's just gonna double check that what he's drawn is mostly accurate, and then definitely withdraw from the
Threshold.
horrible room.
Okay. Great.
Yes.
We're leaving the cursed room.
Maida the coward will scamper towards her companions. She'll squeeze through them so she's outside.
Outside. Okay. Yeah. So Mera probably gets a glance at just a couple things on the mantle, and as she gets closer, it's clear that the fire seems as though it's wrapped around the stone impression of wood rather than actual logs. But real fire and real heat is coming from that area. And up top along the mantelpiece, there's a rather fine dagger that you saw, or at least the hilt of a dagger, because it's in a sheath.
Don't tell
And
Karmeon.
then there's a sort of either an urn or a vase that has a stopper on the top, and a couple other things. But all of that is left behind.
Wait. What does this dagger look like?
So the dagger looks like the blade is somewhere in the order of, say like 6 or maybe 7 inches long. So it's
wicked.
Long enough. The sheath is leather, but it has sort of this silvery etching into it of metal that sort of gives the leather reinforcement and form. The cap at the bottom sort of curls away slightly in one direction, although the blade looks straight for the most part. The hilt is of that same silvery metallic quality, but it's been wrapped in sort of a black fiber for the handle, and the pommel is just very utilitarian and round. There might be other details about it, but that was the impression that Mayra would have been able to gather at a glance.
Mayra will not take the dagger.
Okay.
Did you see anything in there?
Cursed things of an age that is gone and dead.
Then it's best we leave it alone.
Mayra looks at the suit of armor you're wearing.
Yes.
Let's go.
All right, where do you go?
Forward.
Okay.
Man, that was probably the room where we could have sacrificed Karmeon to unleash a dark god.
I could have got a shiny new dagger.
Oh, dear.
Like, everyone could have had what they wanted.
Mayra will inspect the door.
Sure.
What qualities does it have?
So it's a metal door, as I mentioned, but it appears to be a very sturdy iron sort. This section of the complex that you found your way into certainly seems to be split almost between aspects that match the same sort of ornate and immaculate quality of the rest of the ruin, with the sections that are pretty mundane and clearly geared more for their utilitarian value. And the door it comes along with the ladder. It appears thick. It appears very clearly some sort of iron. It is not the same sort of gleaming color that marks Pekome's armor. And there's no real decoration that's been set into it. It's just sort of a rectangular frame next to another rectangular frame. Aside from near where the handle, where a lock might be accessed with a key or something like that, there is sort of this bolt that runs across and it holds both doors together.
Oh god. Okay, so the door is bolted closed on this side. Why does this look familiar?
But wait. Is the bolt capped off like the previous one, or could we just slide it out?
You could slide it to one side, yes. There are brackets to the left and the right on each door that hold it in place, but it doesn't appear trapped. You could potentially try to work it out.
So clearly this
other.
one's different. This one we could just open.
With some effort.
It is a large door, a large set of doors.
Mayra will put her ear to the door to see if she can hear anything.
The door says hello.
The door does not say hello. Go ahead and roll vigilance.
Oh!
All right, very nice.
Can I confirm?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. So a critical success.
The door says hello.
What do my slightly elven ears hear?
There's perhaps surprisingly, or perhaps not, depending on Mayra's mindset, I suppose. There's very little to pick up aside from the noises that Karmeon and Pekome provide. As she listens against the door, she doesn't get anything from the other side. It's quiet as a crypt in there. But as she listens, she does notice that somewhere in the hallway that they've come down, there's just a little trickle of a current of air, and it's difficult to tell exactly where it's coming from, but it might suggest that there's a bit of a little bit of air movement where it shouldn't be along the walls.
Aha! So it's coming from not the door, right?
Not the door, yeah. I mean, it has to be close because it's very, very quiet, and she's picked up on it, but it is coming from behind her to the sides, somewhere like that.
So Meira has a very hands-on approach. She essentially shoves the torch into somebody else's hand, and then she approaches this set of like iron doors, and you see her put her head up against it. Her hands are kind of running along, just getting a feel for it. And all of a sudden you see her head kind of pull away. And she looks a bit distracted, looking away from the door, down the hallway. And she goes, You just see her sort of like sliding her hands off the door and onto the wall. And she looks like she's kind of like getting handsy with the wall here. She kind of shoves past Karmeon, and she appears to be searching for something. She's going to try to find this draft, heading towards where it might be strongest.
Yeah, so she takes a step back past her companions. And the walls have probably become something of a just a mundane fact at this point. They're the same immaculate quality that you've seen pretty much everywhere else, and here and there are sort of these understated artistic depictions, but without any real connection to whatever society dwelt here. It's difficult to keep paying attention to them. That said, as you're following the draft, you do notice just maybe 4 or 5 steps back down along the hallway where Mayra is right now on the map, in fact. Along the western side of the corridor, you do notice that the air current seems to be coming from a notch between 2 slabs of stone. And as Mayra inspects it a little more closely, it's clear there's something set behind the wall. It isn't just a section of hallway as it might have appeared at first. There's no direct artwork or external levers or anything that give it away, but you can tell that the wall must be either thinner or hiding something that's just on the other side.
Meira will pry at the plates with her fingers, and she is going to try to see if she can wedge it open, try to find if there's any give, perhaps find a way through.
So the stone's more or less, really more than less, in fact, unyielding to Mayra's attempts to just sort of prise it away. It is rigid, and it is kind of just stuck there. However, you do notice that air current must be coming from just at the top, right where the wall meets the ceiling. At that joining, there's a little bit of damage to the white stones, and there's been just a bit of crumbling, so you can see this shadowy pocket far enough overhead that you can't really get a look into it, and it must only be a couple centimeters wide at the widest. But that's what's allowing the passage of air. Go ahead.
Meira points to it, bringing the attention of the others.
There is a current. This is a good sign.
Seeing we are in the earth, and
Uh.
we might want to get out.
There's something on the other side?
She's saying there's air.
Hmm.
Why don't you take your bewitched eyes and have a look?
Yeah. What? Yeah. Let's not call them bewitched. Oh, you know?
Cursed,
Karmeon,
damned, unholy.
You can't see Maida's face because she's wearing a mask, but somehow you get the sense she is frowning deeply at you.
At your eyes, specifically.
Yes,
Alright, well-
she squints.
Karmeon will see if perhaps he can see through the little gap a little more clearly.
Sure. So it's quite a bit overhead. It's right at the uppermost portion of the hallway, and the hallway's at least, 11 feet or so high. But if Pekome or someone were to help
He
leverage
gets
him
a
up,
boost. Especially given he's 5'1".
yes, good point. This is very high for Karmeon.
Maida will very helpfully take the torch and just kind of scoot out of the way.
Right. Relegate this to Pekome's territory.
Pekome is just gonna look between the two of them, like, what do you want?
Maida gestures to the ceiling.
You want me to throw him?
No,
I
we're not.
suppose that could work.
Won't work at
Pekome
all.
gets ready to throw him.
No one is throwing me.
Right, she's gonna lift.
Perhaps
She's
do
gonna
not
lift him up.
Throw him to
Okay.
difficulty. He is our healer.
He can heal himself.
Go ahead and roll vigilant for Karmeon.
I thought you were
Just
gonna ask
neutral?
strong.
Yeah.
I was ready.
How far are you throw? I've
Ooh.
been there. Wow.
Yes. Confirm that shit. Oh, yes,
Man.
my heart.
Double
Oh,
crits
really
for just a
on
little hole.
fire tonight.
Karmeon sees very well. No, I can't do a mirror accent. Sorry.
So
It's too
as
easily.
Karmeon's hoisted up, at first it looks like you're not really going to be able to make too much out. This gap is incredibly small, and I mean it's really not made to be looked through. It wasn't really made intelligently at all, as far as you know. But you do kind of manage to wriggle your face right up and against the stone, and just below there's almost a peephole, a little notch that is worn away between these stone plates. And you're able to look through it. And whereas most people would have no light to work with, Karmeon has sort of sacrificed his eyes for the ability to see in the dark. So he can. And within, there's a somewhat narrow, maybe two people could fit abreast if they were, comfortable with brushing shoulders. A passage of stone similar to the stone in the ritual chamber that you saw earlier that cuts through. It's clearly unfurnished, unadorned. It's a secret passage. It's not made to be traveled often. Maybe 5 feet in from where you are, to one side, there's something similar to a lever. It looks like a sort of a vertical channel in the stone, which is unfinished but still relatively clean or smooth, functional, I guess you might say. There's a vertical channel with a sort of a stone weight at one side, and it looks like it can be moved, perhaps to trigger certain things. And as you look further, there are a number of other similar notches in the wall to the left and the right. Another 5, another 10 feet, another 15 feet down. And this passage continues on for... don't mind me. Quite a while. You can still see the entire way down because you have no need for light, but almost 100 feet, you'd say it goes on.
Maybe we can go to the other side, or maybe the backs of the rooms.
We checked the rooms pretty thoroughly.
Well, we didn't. Did we check for... Karmeon doesn't really finish this sentence.
So do we go up?
Pekome, let's go.
That's it?
Well, we
Um,
don't know the way up.
We could look for it.
Yeah,
She gestures to you two, specifically the guy with demonic eyes.
Karmeon will just kind of head back. And if nobody's stopping him, he's definitely going to be checking the back of the wall.
Pekame gives the torch back to Mayura. Or should we make sure Mayura has it?
okay.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Mira,
Karmeon, go ahead and give another vigilant test. This time you can probably have a modifier. Are you both waiting outside while he's doing this?
I don't know. What is Pekome doing? This matters.
She's waiting at the entrance.
Mm,
Look, last time we got attacked when we were in here.
Okay.
Twice.
okay,
Karmeon, go ahead
Maida.
and roll vigilant at +2.
Okay.
Maida will be like slightly in. Oof.
Oof.
Oof, indeed. So, from what you saw, you think there should be something here. And Karmeon spends some time trying to find it, to show that there is. But whatever you might be looking for, you're just not able to discover it. The wall seems like just a wall. There doesn't appear to be any damage that's letting air in or out, or really give any evidence that something lies behind.
Pekame walks up and kicks the wall.
Sure.
Maida would be
wall.
like in the doorway, like ready to go in or out of the room. So she's like right here.
Okay. Why not? Go ahead and roll strength at -5.
Oh my god.
She's strong.
Yeah. She is pretty
Wait, are you
strong.
like fireman kicking this wall?
Yeah, like flat of the foot straight into the wall.
Yeah, so Pekome strides forward and just launches herself in against the wall and slams foot first into it. And it might be something that seems inadvisable at first, kicking a stone wall. Not something most people would try to do. But although the wall does not break, there's no shattering of stone and sudden access granted. It does. There's a response. The wall kind of thuds and shifts in a way that a solid stone wall wouldn't. Whether you've done damage to the overall mechanisms that would control this secret passage is a little difficult to tell, but Karmeon, you're standing right there. You can certainly see that dust around the seams of this section of wall is shaken free by Pekome's foot, and everything does seem to have shifted just a little. You can't get in. I mean, you can't even see in, but it certainly did something.
Not knowing what it did, but knowing it did something, Karmeon appreciatively back thumps Pekome. Oh! What do you think, Mayor? And then I'll look back and kind of see that she's a
She's
little,
gone. She's been taken.
little further away than he would have expected.
The DM goes, Maida, roll quick. Maida will she just watches this whole thing happen, and as Maida looks uncertain. She is looking nervously back out into the hallway, looking at the pair of you back and forth. She just kind of shrugs.
If we figure it out, it might be just straight up.
Okay,
You gotta
okay.
pull your weight here.
So Maida will sort of stride forward, and she just gestures the two of them to part. And she will run her hands along the wall, investigating.
All right.
Ugh. Do I get any modifiers? I totally get modifiers. Don't I get the +2? Yeah. Okay. So that's not a failure.
I'm not quite sure it works that way. But you know what? You actually would have had a modifier if you had perhaps waited to see. Mira,
I got excited.
Mira.
Well,
kinda
look, since she
sneaks her
didn't
way
wait,
forward.
just give her the 1.
Just give her the 1. Mira sneaks her way forward and kind of gets between the others and starts investigating the frame of the wall. And it is clear. You can see that there's sort of a seam that has been unveiled by Peikome's brute force approach around that kind of forms like what might be a doorway, with the obvious issue that there's no door or hinges, just stone. And as she investigates that and kind of susses it out, it might take a couple minutes to come to this decision, but by the end of it, Mira has a pretty sure knowledge that it's not meant to be opened from this side. And from her inspection of the hallway, that might also be the case. It looks like the access points to this passage are kind of on the other side, and you're on the outside trying to get in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can brute force your way in, but there doesn't appear to be a lever or a switch that's just kind of waiting to be found.
Brute force our way in.
Karmeon, did you find a button or a lever of any kind?
No?
When you were looking up into the crawl space where there was totally a lever, did you see a lever?
Yeah, did I not say that? 6 or 7? At least?
Well, I suppose that it might be responsible for opening this door. It will not open from this side. It is not an entrance, it is an exit.
Karmeon looks real disappointed and then
Unless. And she looks down at Peikome's boot again.
Peikome looks back at her.
I suggest we try the door.
Oh, and she's gonna begin to make her way into the hallway.
yeah, Karmeon follows after.
Which door exactly are you trying now?
She
Yeah,
means
back
this
over
one, I
here.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, gotcha.
The bolted door. You know who's good at opening bolted doors?
Peikome's foot.
Is Peikome's foot good at
No,
opening
that's
bolted
for revealing secret doors.
Mm.
Different. Right. Well, she's gonna try to slide the bolt out.
Sure. So it's actually very difficult. I won't make you roll for strength because this is something you will succeed at eventually. But it's been a long time since this door has been used, and the bolt is extremely resistant. If there was ever any oil or grease making it a little easier to move one way or the other, that
Hey,
is
we have
long
oil.
since. Do you though?
Yep.
One oil.
We have
did
one oil.
Did it survive the fall?
It was in like a pouch.
Oh, okay, right.
And I was the one who landed.
Yeah, that's very true. So you have oil. I assume you're not using it for this, but
Nah, because
you are.
I'm strong.
Okay, yeah. So Peikome kind of puts her back into it. She's scraping against the floor and against the wall, and it probably doesn't sound great for Karmeon or Meira. But
Karmeon will help if it's a 2-person job.
yeah,
Karmeon
Karmeon
will.
can absolutely help.
Yeah.
And eventually you do manage to slide this bolt until it disappears into the bracket, and then slide it a little further, and when it finally breaks free, you figure you're going to be able to open up the door, and you are, in fact, able to open up the door. Different tool. And I assume you do go ahead and just kind of see what's beyond. Okay. So as you swing the door open, it grinds somewhat loudly on its hinges, which is probably no surprise given how difficult it was to get it open in the first place.
Crunch.
And behind, you discover is what appears to be the corner of some manner of courtyard. There are large areas of damaged terrain. Above you, in the darkness, Karmeon, you can see that there is a sort of a vaulted hall appearance going on overhead, but a lot of that hall has been destroyed. The vaulted portions are more replaced with caved-in earth and roots and pillars here. So a lot of stone has crashed down and destroyed whatever the initial formation on the ground has been. Even so, amidst the dirt and the rubble that has sort of overtaken the area, you can see that there are traces of what lay before. Here and there are sort of these stone circles that look like they might have hosted trees at one point, even in one a little further away. And it's well outside of the light of the torch, because there is no light other than the torch in this area right now. There's a dead tree that's kind of curled over. It reaches maybe 12 feet into the air or so before ending in sort of a snapped trunk, and even that has sagged from lack of water into a more wretched shape. And as far as you can tell, this continues on for maybe 100 feet in more or less every direction away from you, to the north and to the east, before the cave-ins become more and more difficult to navigate your way through. And maybe you could find paths through, but there's none clear, at least at a glance. Off to the left, on the western side, at the corner of this courtyard, there is another door. Looks very similar to the one that you've opened up, although there's no bolt on this end, at least.
Wow.
I mean, Karmeon will kind of just wander in, and really, once he's done kind of looking up, maybe focus on the tree and get a little closer to that.
Sure. Yeah.
Pekome will check out the door.
Okay, so Pekome heads over to the door.
Mira will helpfully stand between them.
Okay. Sort of on the edge of the light, I suppose.
I thought
She is
Mira
the light.
Yeah, I am the light.
Oh, Mayra has the torch.
I
Okay,
am the
great.
light.
Perfect. So Pekome is checking out the door. Mayra is between them. Karmeon steps off. And Karmeon will probably step further off until he's somewhat indistinct in the shadows. But as Karmeon draws nearer to this, you can see that the shapes that you've passed on the way are where other sort of vegetation would have been placed. And you can only imagine that at the time that this area was pristine, whether it was above or below the ground, is a little difficult to tell, honestly. But it would have been quite impressive if they were able to sort of artificially sustain all this, flowers and trees and whatnot. The tree itself that remains is not at all similar to the trees that you remember in the forest along the river of Davokar before you descended into the complex. It has a very bright red wood.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bloody, it's more sort of a rusty or paint-like color. And the bark is black, but it's curled away into little strips, and very little is actually clinging to the trunk anymore. It's all layered out on the ground in sort of concentric circles, or fragments of concentric circles, really. Up near the top where it snapped off, you can't you can't see anything around you that would suggest that the tree has fallen. It's just all the portions above that are gone for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
How close do you get to the tree?
Pick up some bark close.
Pick up some bark close? Okay, great. So as you do get near, does Karmeon pick up bark?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, Karmeon picks up some bark. That's
exactly
fine.
why
It
it's-
doesn't
He's
pick
gonna
up
go
some
back
bark.
and put it in the fireplace.
Oh my god.
So Karmeon picks up some of the bark. It is very light. I mean, you can tell as you pick it up, it's so dried at this point that it's almost insubstantial, but it's pretty firm. It doesn't crumble the moment it's touched, at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see, sort of in the heart of the tree where the wood has kind of shattered outward, and it has shattered outward. It sort of seems to have come up from something has come from within, perhaps, or maybe that's just snapped off and the speared portions reached lower. But whatever. There's a little bit of a cradle that you can look into, and at the very center, there's actually a leaf, and it's a golden-ish leaf with a slightly reflective quality to it. With 5 points in a very narrow stem, and it's just laying there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Karmeon's actually probably going to collect a fair amount of the bark, but he'll also get the he'll eventually pick up the leaf as well.
Sure. Okay.
Roll for corruption.
Maida watches. Was
No
staring
one can get
pointedly.
corrupted by nature. That's silly.
Yeah. I mean, nothing untoward happens. There's sort of a crisp smell around the wood here. It's not unpleasant, but it's kind of sharp. And it just lingers as you gather up the curled black bark
Ooh.
and the leaf.
As one that has been in the woods for a big part of her life, does Meira recognize this tree? Is this something she might have heard of or seen before?
Has Mera gone deeper into Davokar beyond like the Odayova clan's territory? Or did she stay mostly in that area and kind of towards Ambria from there?
I would say that she has definitely crossed over into more wild and untamed land, but not very deeply. Probably on the fringes.
Gotcha.
Meira the coward.
Meira the coward. Hey, cowardice means I get to live another day.
So Mera, even with her somewhat extensive survey of Davokar's lands, has not encountered anything that looks quite like this. It's a little difficult to say because the tree's not in a state similar to most trees that she's run into. So maybe if she could see the upper portions of it, it would be reminiscent. But it doesn't really feel that way. It feels like something sort of alien or ancient that just hasn't been seen in a long time.
Gotcha. Maida will kind of step towards Karmeon, and she says over to him,
Do not ingest any of it. I highly recommend you
put
do
it in
not
your eyes.
eat it.
Oh, ow. Do you know anyone who eats bark or leaves?
Yes.
Oh. Oh?
My
Your
brother.
other dog.
My brother used to chew bark.
Why?
Dane did many questionable things.
and then Maida is just going to look back over to Pekome to see what Pekome is doing.
At this moment, she opens the door.
Oh my god.
Okay. So she can't actually open the door. When she tries to open the door, she runs into the feeling that it might be bolted shut from the other side in a similar fashion to the door that you came through.
The bolt was super old on the other one, right?
Yeah, also super metal.
Look, I got a strong boot.
If you want to roll, you are welcome to roll strength. It will be at a -5. Succeeding does not guarantee that the door opens. Go right ahead.
That's the worst possible roll. Oh, let me move my mouse.
Yeah, go ahead and roll again. See if. Okay. So it could be worse, which is good for you.
Oh my god, you could have broke your leg on the door or something.
Oh yeah, you're definitely gonna get hurt if you failed that.
Would be great.
So Pekome steps forward, and she's had a good time kicking things lately, so why not try it again? And she kicks into the door, and there is this exceptionally loud and metallic clang that just reaches through this courtyard area, and it swells, and it seems to grow louder as it bounces off the walls and then passes through the debris and the clutter that I guess only Karmeon has really seen out beyond. And it's unsettling, and it's very loud, and when it ends, nothing has changed. The door is still closed, the door is unyielding.
This door is bolted from the other side.
No
Okay.
shit.
Karmeon goes back to picking up bark. And is there any, has the tree dropped wood too? Maybe reasonably well preserved?
Yeah, so there are splinters of wood, some ranging from really actual splinters to the size of a finger. The largest section you can find is probably, it's not a branch or a stick or anything like that, but it is a portion of the wood, like the tree's heartwood, that has broken off, and it's about the length of a forearm and about the width of a forearm.
Okay, yeah, maybe a couple forearms.
Yeah, okay.
And then Dane will dust his hands off and be like, the other hallway?
Oh, doesn't seem to be anything else we can do here.
Karmeon will pat the tree and start heading back.
Sure. Let's see. So Mayra is holding the torch right now, and she's just kind of tagging along.
Before we head on, Maid, I would like to have a closer look at the tree. When she touches it, can she tell if it's alive or if it's petrified?
It does not feel petrified to the touch. It is not. It hasn't quite reached that hardened, stone-like state. And in fact, the pieces of wood that you do touch are soft and light, or not soft. Sorry, they're just light.
Green.
Well, they're light in the sense of old driftwood, really, that's like dried out and become bleached, although without the bleaching element, given that it's in the dark here. And everything that you or Mayra knows about bushcraft and just trees in general suggests that this tree ought to be very dead. But there's something that seems just a little off about it to her. If it were completely dead, why hasn't it rotted away? And why isn't it, in total shambles rather than just this half state that it's in right now? But there's nothing that points to life specifically.
Mayra will draw her hand back very dramatically and whisper under her breath, "Which wood?" And then she'll follow.
Pekome is going to try and put the bolt back in the door behind them.
Wait,
Okay, yeah, so you close the door
Not on Mayor.
and you try to slide the bolt out. Yeah, you can. It's pretty awkward to do, just because the bolt's so resistant that when you try to start pushing it, like, it sort of starts swinging out and then that starts pushing the other door out, and then you gotta like you stop and pull it back. But you get it done. Is Karmeon helping out with that process?
Yeah, Karmeon will help
Then,
out. You know.
Mayra, why don't you roll vigilant at say -2 while this is going on?
You're on a hot
Plus
streak.
2?
-2.
Plus 2. Oh,
-2.
that was
All right,
-2.
That's good. Yeah.
+2?
Mayra can see very well.
About 10 feet.
So there is a bit of sound that comes to Mayra's attention from within the courtyard as the door is closed and sealed, and she probably notices it at the kind of edge of her awareness before the door is fully shut. It swings open a little bit, and maybe she kind of tries to peek out and get a sense of what she's seeing or hearing rather,
Mhm.
but she's not able to put her eyes, given that she's holding a torch and the light is quite poor beyond, on whatever. But something has certainly come, possibly to the the ringing noise that came earlier when Pikome tried to kick the other door to investigate. But the door is shut and sealed before she can notice exactly what it is, and there's no immediate attack on the door or anything. She's just aware that there is something out there.
Mayra will wait until the door is secure, and then she will say,
There's something on the other side of the door now.
Well, it's staying there.
Hopefully.
Pikome's gonna back away from the door.
Karmeon, likewise.
Perhaps we should stop kicking doors. Seems to draw too much attention.
Yeah, but what if the door opened?
Then the door would be open and whatever was about to be upon us would be at our back.
That could have been the only way out for all we know.
Then we'll be back.
I'm not quite so sure. We must find...
I mean, if it is the only way out, then we'll be back.
Why are you carrying so much tree?
Why are you carrying so much broken armor? Karmeon walks off.
So I believe we had another set of doors to the south in the main corridor that we came from. Is that correct? Is that the only other way? Yeah.
Well, there's this way we haven't got to yet.
So the door all the way to the south, down here, yeah, that's where you entered the zone from.
Ah, okay, so at the very top we haven't gone.
Yeah, I have a map.
Gotcha.
I suggest we trace back our steps and head north.
Pikome shrugs, not knowing which direction is north down here.
Okay. So you move along then.
Yeah.
Okay, whoop. So we go all the way around, and then we're gonna head back up.
Yeah.
And no one stops to do something stupid in the fireplace room.
Definitely not.
Mayra thinks about the blade again.
It's a nice blade. So... No.
Oh?
Oh, Mary just rolled resolute and failed.
Suddenly and very obviously, our torchlight starts to fade as we're walking.
Wouldn't be very obvious for one of us.
Yeah, super obviously. So as you get up to that sort of corner, you do see the hallway continues all the way down. And Pekame, you probably do realize that the door that you were trying to kick is the same door from the other side. The end of this hallway. There are a couple other passages all to the south of this hallway in much the same fashion as the other side of this floor that you've been on.
It looks like there might be some more rooms along here, like the 3 we found before.
Yeah. Maybe we should go make sure that bolted door is still really bolted. Karmeon points out, pointing all the way down at something some people may not even be able to see.
If it's not still bolted, we'll hear it very quickly.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess we can check out the rooms for supplies.
Or maybe one of the walls is broken down and we can get into that tunnel.
Mira will carefully peek around the corner.
You see a door.
And there's a door. Who would like to open it?
Pekome open door. With hands.
Okay, great job. So the room beyond is really a familiar sight by now. It looks pretty identical to the other 3 that you've been in, minus different aspects of wear or tear here and there, but they're the same, stone shelves set into the wall on one side. There's the desiccated frame of what used to be a bed. There's a wash basin / bed for Karmeon. If there is access to that sort of secret passage you've become available or aware of, you certainly don't see it at first glance.
Do these rooms look kind of utilitarian?
They do. You wouldn't really have to... Well, actually, I guess...
So made us thinking that these might be barracks.
Yep. So, Mara, has certainly familiarized herself with the ideas of barracks and serving quarters and things like that are a little more parceled out for, the help or the staff or the army or whatever. And that's the vibe that you get from this. It is without, actual people or that many true articles lying around to identify them. It's a little harder to tell, but it does seem like a very regimented and utilitarian setup.
Mm-hmm.
And it certainly matches with the sort of off back and forth between areas that are super neat and clean, like the hallways that you're in, and then the more plain doorways and rooms that you're encountering here.
Pekome goes to open the middle door.
Okay.
There were 6 suits of armor.
6 rooms. Yeah, I was just thinking that, Karmeon announces.
It is another room.
But this one looks vastly different.
In fact, it does not. It's quite similar to the other 4.
Well, one last room, and then we're out of here.
And another room that does seem quite similar to the other 5. If there were a 7th room, you'd be pretty sure that it would look similar to the previous 6 at this point.
Mm.
Well, at least we know nothing else is down here.
Karmeon goes and looks over at that door.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't really think we need supplies that much. Karmeon decides and tries to usher everyone away.
Okay, and speaking of away, you have noticed as a group, undoubtedly, you've explored most of what's here. There's the western passage off at that initial intersection that you came to that's obstructed by rock. One theorizes you might be able to either make a passage through there with a considerable amount of work or bring down more rocks and kill yourselves. You could go back the way that you came. Pekome is fairly confident in her strength and could feasibly, fight with quite some expense towards noise into the secret passage to see where that leads. But there isn't really that much else that remains unturned unless there are other secrets hiding elsewhere. You're pretty familiar with the layout at this point.
Yeah, so either we break a wall, we break a rock, or we open a door.
Do we remember any giant warhammers in the armory?
Well, it was pretty well supplied, all in all. Perhaps not giant warhammers per se, but there are some heavy-looking maces that were certainly made for people taller and perhaps stronger than the three of you.
Excuse you?
Yep.
Perhaps we can utilize some of these tools that were left behind.
Yeah, is there a, Karmeon's just kind of gonna peek at the 3 rooms they've just opened up for a particularly weak-looking wall, if there is such one.
Go ahead and roll vigilant at just neutral.
12.
Okay. Yeah, it's a pretty good success. They look much the same, honestly. There isn't too much difference. That said, the one that you are by presently, or at least the easternmost one that your tokens are still by, doesn't necessarily look that different at first glance, but maybe the stone looks weaker. Maybe it's just a trick of your eye. It's difficult to say. You do think that when you were peeking through the hallway previously, maybe you saw that lever had suffered a little damage of its own right. It's now that you're sort of mentally mapping things out, it might help, it might not, is the best
Why
you
don't
can
we
think
just
of.
go and get some of the armory? Hit up the armory and just...
Yes, let's do that. And then Maida starts walking, and then she actually will go all the way
Past
into
the armory?
Yeah. She grabs the dagger.
Leaving.
Pekome, standing in the pitch dark, is just wondering, where the hell are you going?
I will be back.
So you just leave Pekome in the dark?
Yeah.
Well, I got Pekome is just like over here now.
Karmeon will guide Pekome.
Just grab me a weapon.
Yeah, okay. And Karmeon will go and loot the 3 most hefty-looking pieces of hafted metal within the armory.
While
Yeah,
Pekome just sits there in the dark holding out her shield.
That has to be pretty nerve-wracking.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Pekome struggles kind of in the dark alone. You've certainly been shown time and time again that there isn't much safety down here. And now you're standing alone in the dark without knowing where either of your friends are, and occasionally hearing just things that you can't make out. Are they, is it Karmeon moving metal around? Or is it something coming to bite off your legs and devour you from beneath or something like that? It's frightening. Karmeon, meanwhile, can see everything. And the storeroom is much the same as it was. The armory hasn't been changed. And he does manage to secure himself a number of oversized of maces. There are only 2 of them, but you can also find, sort of a long spear with a very metal hafted butt. What?
I've been thinking that I might, if it doesn't wear out, I might try one of the other eyedroppers.
Pekome, while trying to stand still in the dark, with her nerves being a little shot, has wandered slightly out of earshot.
Okay. So Pekome is wandering around in the dark by herself right now.
Not intentionally. She thinks she's like keeping around the same spot, but she's in
Right.
the pitch dark.
Yeah. And Karmeon is shouting for her in the storeroom, unintelligibly. Mera.
Mera looks at what else is on the mantle.
Okay. Yeah,
The
so you've made it back to the
gone.
fireplace. You don't have your pesky companions around right now. You notice there are 4 distinct things along the mantle that at least stand out to you. There's the dagger that we've been over, and there's a
cat.
There is a cat. He's whiny and wants my food. I'm sorry.
That's okay. There's an urn / vase. You're not entirely sure what it is because it's opaque, but it's some kind of pottery.
Does it have a cap?
It does have a cap, yes.
Okay.
It has sort of a curving neck. That's how pottery works.
Ah, yes.
It goes up.
Ceramic
yes.
noses. Quite.
With sort of a plugged stopper, and
It's ancient elven
it's about
kimchi.
all you can tell. It's this sort of what?
He said it's ancient elven kimchi.
Oh, I didn't hear the kimchi part. Not quite. It's just, as far as you can tell, it's this pure black and slightly glossy ceramic with a pure black and slightly glossy ceramic stopper that's holding whatever's in and hidden from view. It's about, let's say, 4 inches wide at the widest, 2 at the shallowest. It isn't particularly large either.
Okay.
And then there's the dagger. Then there's sort of this cloth bundle. It looks like it's covering something rectangular that's maybe 5 by 3. It could be a small case. It could be a little booklet. It could be something else. And then at the very end, there's sort of a sealed leather cylinder. Maybe it's like I'm
Size
trying to
of a
think of something to
banana.
describe it. Yeah, okay. No, not quite the size of a banana. It's larger than a banana. It's like I don't know, if you think of those like cases people buy for like maps to like
Yes.
roll a map or like a poster in. It's like one of those, but only, maybe a foot long or so.
Okay. Can Maida reach all of these without like encroaching on this arcane circle?
She can.
Okay. She's going to very purposefully avoid the circle. And she's going to first take the dagger,
Okay.
put it in her backpack.
She takes the dagger and stows it in her backpack.
Then she takes the leather cylinder.
Okay.
She puts it in her backpack.
Okay.
She will, without removing the cap on the vase, kind of wiggle around just a little to see if like it is secured or if it's just literally placed on top.
Yeah. So the cap is sort of stopped in there.
Okay.
You can't see quite what it is, but it feels like a firm seal.
She's going to put the vase in her backpack.
Okay.
And then she's going to very carefully take the cloth off of the rectangular item.
Okay. Now the cloth is tucked in, so you'll have to sort of pick it up and unwrap it.
Okay, in that case, she's just going to put it in her backpack.
Okay. All right. So all 4 of the items now have a home in Mera's backpack.
That made it.
Excuse you,
Ah.
Pekoma's not the only one who wildly loots.
Yeah, sorry. I went back to Pekome as soon as we started looting unknown things.
Hey, at least you didn't put random liquids into our eyes.
Maida will carefully step around the circle and get closer to the skeleton here.
Okay.
Mostly
Meira.
known and well-researched liquids.
Meira is very familiar with skeletons.
Okay. Yeah. So this does appear to be a skeleton. You've got that much down. Go ahead and roll vigilant at neutral.
If you fail, you get grabbed by a skeleton.
Oh.
It's difficult to make out that much more. The body has been there for a very long time, and
Is it like humanoid-ish? Or-
yeah, you can't really say much more than that, though. You might have been able to determine, say, is it human? Is it something near human? But at this point, it's just humanoid-ish.
Okay.
The bones are also not in the best of states. There's
Are they large?
not really. They're thin-ish, but it's difficult to say, and it's difficult to say because there's quite a bit of damage to it. You notice, obviously, there's no meat or skin on this person, just bones. And now that you're closer and looking at it, you can tell that the bone has been gnawed at and pockmarked. There are little gashes and marks that you're sure come from teeth that have really cleaned off this body of really any form of sustenance or meat. And down at the calves, you can see that the bone has been cracked open. And presumably, although you'd have to get a little closer to really inspect, the marrow is probably gone as well.
Oh, does the damage in the room look like acid?
Yes, the damage in the room does look quite a bit like acid when you're looking at the circle and the little pockmarks that lead aft to the doorway.
Okay. Meira will take out her dagger, her regular dagger. She'll kind
Okay.
of like scrape at the substance on the ground.
Okay.
I guess she's trying to tell if it's like if it was thick at one point, if it's dried blood. Trying to identify it.
Yeah, your best guess would be that it is dried blood, but it has dried for a very long time, if that's the case. There's a little bit of dust that mingles with the surface. It's more of a caked blackish mixture that you can sort of just work free with your knife.
And as far as she can tell, there are no remnants of equipment or clothing nearby.
No, but as she's kind of probing at this blood and probing at the body, it will come to Meira's attention that there are sort of grooves in the wall behind the body in the corner, and in those grooves there sit a pair of metal hooks, or rings, I should say, rather than hooks, that something could be attached to.
Something could be held prisoner there.
Potentially, yes.
This was a sacrifice. Meira.
What gave it away? Was it the giant unholy symbol of the corpse and all of the
Listen.
acid spots?
Listen.
And the
It's
dagger?
all witchcraft here. Meira will skirt. She's gonna run out of the room really quickly.
Okay. She runs back to where she left Karmeon and Pekome. Pekome is nowhere to be seen.
Karmeon, where is Pekome?
Out there?
No.
Karmeon has his hands full of beating materials, and he'll offer one/force one upon Meira, and go look in the hallway.
Meira will not take it, and she says, I should keep my hands free and hold the torch.
We're gonna be. You can put the torch up in the room. These are heavy.
She just turns away without taking it. Where's Pekome?
Pekome!
No! Shh! Do not draw attention to us. So as she like rounds this corner, Pekome will be able to see the light of the torch. Yum. Oh, hello.
Where did you go?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I went to inspect the room that you two are cowardly away from.
Words are hard.
It appears that the body there might have been a sacrifice to the acid creature that we dispatched.
Or it's how they made the acid creature.
Either way, it was hungry.
Where's Karmeon?
Karmeon's with her. You went after.
Well, he hasn't
Yeah.
moved, so.
Oh. I forgot about that portion of the game.
All right.
So, what various weapons is Karmeon currently holding, like a bundle of sticks?
A mace, a morning star, and another mace. But really bigger than they should be.
Alright, well, back we go.
Yeah, here. And Karmeon tries to give any of them to...
She's gonna keep walking without crying.
I guess we're going into this room here where it had the weakest wall.
Yeah, the end of the hallway.
Alright, now that we're in the room, she'll take the sturdier looking mace, because Morningstar for these people would be super long as hell.
Yes, that is very true.
Yeah. And then Karmeon just drops the other two.
Clong.
Here I will provide light.
Well, I guess Pekome is getting to work solo.
Karmeon will help. He'll pick up the other mace and help
All
go
right.
to town on the wall.
On 3, we hit.
Wait, the same spot, or
No, not the same spot. We'll just hit our own weapons.
maybe we should just take turns hitting the same spot.
Well, we can do that after we hit at the same time once. Look, the combined force could open it solo. If not, then
Oh.
we can focus.
That's not a bad idea. Okay, yeah. Okay, Karmeon kind of hefts his up and points it at a very specific part of the wall and is like, I'll get it there. Ish.
3, she slams it into the wall.
Karmeon doesn't.
What's my modifier, Kevin?
You can just roll strength at -5.
Oh,
Pretty good. And when does Karmeon pitch in?
At first, once she drops hers again, then he'll just go and hit the same spot.
Okay, gotcha. Go ahead and roll strength as well.
Yeah,
At -5.
It's probably not a good idea to antagonize the heavily armored person with a giant mace in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't really make it so that they could do the first plan, so now the second plan. -5?
Yeah.
oh god.
He's about to break the mace. Just drop it on his foot.
Okay.
Do not give the DM ideas. Oh my god.
Well, we're finding out.
That's a confirmed failure, critical failure.
Yeah.
Knowing you.
So Karmeon is thrown off a little bit by Pekome saying, let's do it together, and then shorting the count and hitting it by herself. So he tries to catch up. He hits the wall. After she hits the wall, he hits in the same spot, but this is a very large weapon. And it is about as far as you can get from a rapier
Yeah.
as you can.
Which Karmeon isn't very good at anyway.
Which Karmeon it's his best weapon, and it's not a very good weapon, as we've all seen.
Yeah.
So he's just real out of sorts. He hits the wall. There's a clang about half as loud as Pekome's clang. And then it bounces right off, almost out of his hands, and sort of catches Pekome in the midsection.
Wow, what the fuck? I get punished for his failure?
Yep, absolutely. You don't really... You have heavy armor on right now, so I feel like... Let me shoot fast.
At least he didn't do a 180 and just launch it at Mayra.
Yeah, she's a little far away from that one. Yeah, so this isn't necessarily the sort of thing that would actually cause damage given how well armored Pekome is, but it's a real good thing that she is, at least at the moment, because the blow is enough to send her staggering back a pace. And, that's it.
So what did my blow do to the wall?
Very little. So the wall thudded, and it did, tremor a bit, and it was a very solid hit, but this is something that is going to take quite a bit of time. Well, not quite a bit of time, but it's going to take a committed effort.
Perhaps it might better suit us if, say, Karmeon and I crawled up into the space and tried to open one of the levers.
It didn't look like there was enough room for anyone to crawl up.
Karmeon, holds a grape in between his fingers. It's an imaginary grape, not a real grape. And he's like, it's this big. Is this big?
Why do we let you wield weapons?
Wait, Why? Who starts on 3?
I was counting mentally.
Oh my god. So does Pekome continue, or are you kind of
She's gonna just push Karmeon out of the way and then go do this solo.
Karmeon goes to relax in the corner.
Karmeon, you should watch the hallway.
Yeah, well, I don't... Karmeon shuts the door.
No, you know what happened the last time.
Yeah, well, I'm not going back out this door.
You're the person with the possessed night vision eyes. Go out there and use
What?
them.
No, we're gonna be agitating the thing in the room.
Well, once you see the door open, you can run in and close the door behind you here.
Just stand in the doorway.
You're
Right,
blocking the
Pekome's
light.
-5 again.
No, we'll just use your roll for the ones going forward. No, when I said we'll use your roll, I meant we'll use the 2. You don't need to keep rolling.
Oh, okay.
You got a good hit on it, and the rest of your progress will be equally effective.
Just time consuming, perhaps.
Yep, it just takes a while. So with each blow, at first nothing happens, but Pekome is undeterred. This is one of, the only options. You have others, but this is the one you've committed to at this point, with the door closed in the room, especially.
God damn it.
And so Pekome attacks the wall, and gradually, as she works, flakes of dust and stone begin to crumble free along the seams that aren't necessarily damaged, but are ancient pieces of the mechanism that are now falling out above and around her. And then at the middle, where the mace is striking, the stone begins to splinter and fall to the ground. And it gets very dusty and unpleasant to breathe very quickly. But she continues to work, and after perhaps 15 minutes of just rigorous striking over and over and over, you do see that you've created a little wider than a fist-sized space, and each blow after that begins to gradually flake it out wider. You're assisted by the fact that the stone here appears to be maybe only 4.5 inches thick or so. So once there is a gap, it's far easier to start making it wider. But even Pekome's considerable strength is flagging at the point that it's a head wide or so, and it will take a little bit more time than that to actually afford any form of passage.
She's gonna pause for a moment once it's like a head wide, tell Karmeon to look through while she takes a moment to drink some water.
Okay.
Karmeon peeks in the hole
Yeah.
cautiously.
So the air, even as Karmeon peeks through the hole, is coarse right now. It's filled with stone dust, and it's just harsh and unpleasant, and it makes Karmeon's eyes water up, but even so, he can see this way and that. And when you're in the hole looking this way and that, which is really vulnerable,
Karmeon gets stabbed in his new
just
eyes.
as an aside, Karmeon is able to see that same corridor, but a little more clearly now that he's not peeking only through like a little slot at the end of the hall. It's a very smooth stone passageway that doesn't appear to have been traveled much at all. And there are very slight, perhaps, and the only place that he can very clearly see this is the section immediately opposite of him. There's about an inch or so recess into the wall that lines the opposing barrack room. And then there's a slot that you weren't able to see as you were searching around from the other side, of very narrow gaps that allow observation out into the room. And then you're familiar with it already from your previous kind of scouting of this area, but there is that sort of stone tab or switch in the vertical channel that you can only assume can be slid to open up the door that you're currently in the process of breaking down for the other room. And that repeats itself to the side for each of the corridors, and then to Karmeon's left as he's looking through is a very similar arrangement, but far more compact for the end of the hallway. There is a gap off to the right all the way down, but you're not quite able to make it out from your current vantage point.
Yeah, it's just like I was saying, levers for all the doors and maybe a way out.
Can you reach the
Drinks
lever?
water.
No, I think we knocked this one's lever out.
Hmm.
With a heavy breath, she tells them both to stand back and lifts the mace back up.
You're doing great.
Just continue to enjoy the show.
Oh, I will.
And then she's gonna go back to swinging.
Okay, Karmeon has gotten out of the way, I'm sure.
She did tell them to get back, so if he didn't listen, it's his own damn
Karmeon,
fault.
you
Yeah,
should
Karmeon
watch
definitely
the hallway.
No. There's a door. I like the door.
I'm surrounded, slam, by cowards, slam.
You are not wrong.
Okay. So the door is shut. No one's watching the hallway. Is anyone, scouting the area, or listening, or is this more of a watch Pekome work kind of situation?
Karmeon is definitely right here.
Okay. In that case, Maida will be right here.
In the way of the mace.
No, over here.
In the way of where he backs it up to swing.
Like just don't be in this zone.
Okay, I am your light.
Okay, so Mira is sort of just in the middle of the room, in front of the door.
She's facing towards Pekome, though.
Pekome. Yep, that's fine. Okay, that's good. Just curious. So Pekome keeps working on the door, or the
It's becoming a door.
quote unquote door.
I'm turning it into a door.
And the sounds, get louder and louder and mask really any noise that might have been coming from the hallway at this point. And the air quality gets steadily worse. But in time, Pekome does open up a channel wide enough for someone as live as Karmeon or Meira to slide through. And a little while after that, manages to get enough space that she could feasibly fit through after them or before them, however you want to do it.
All right. Well, she tells Karmeon to go through first.
Well,
Yeah.
Maida's probably much thinner. She might be taller than him, but
Yeah, but Meira can't survive being stabbed at.
yes. Maida gestures Karmeon forward.
Yeah, Karmeon goes on in.
Okay. Karmeon goes through successfully. Karmeon is through. That is fine.
All right, hand him the torch and then go after.
Karmeon, take a torch.
Yeah, okay. Karmeon takes the torch and is there anywhere nearby to stab it in?
Pekome, go ahead and roll vigilance while this is happening.
At a 0?
Yeah. Just a 0.
Yay.
Ooh.
Y'all are so successful tonight, for the most part.
The day had to come.
True. So you do hear, it might not be a surprise that there's the sound of movement, maybe from the hall, maybe from beyond. There's sort of the tail end of this metallic grinding that I don't know, it doesn't sound like something that's just picked up, right? It sounds like something that's more ending, of something being moved out of the way. And maybe you just missed the start of it due to all the sound of breaking down the walls. But as Meira sort of slithers through into the chamber beyond, that sound is heard and then cuts off. And if Pekome cares to sit and listen a little while longer,
No.
there is... No? Okay.
Oh.
She's gonna set the mace down and get out of there.
Great.
Oh my gosh. The sound of like grating metal. It's one of the most terrifying sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Because at this point, she's assuming something just ripped through one of the doors.
So Pekome does manage to sort of wrestle her way. She has to, as quickly as possible,
Karmeon will absolutely help.
And her dangling armor through, and then wrestle through with Karmeon's help. And then the three of you are in the secret passage. There is a somewhat flimsy stone wall between you and the room that you just came through, with a person-sized hole in it.
We should start moving. Something is scraping metal behind us.
Okay. Karmeon heads down the long end of the hallway.
Yeah. Okay. So as you get towards the end of the hallway, you do see there's a slot, and it's narrow. It's difficult. It would be claustrophobic for one of you to step through.
We're just gonna open back into the other hallway.
Yeah. And you're stuck. And there's nothing. No. So you notice there's a narrow slot at the end, and it's clear the builders didn't have a lot of space to fit this in, given that you're working within the dimensions of an established floor plan, right? But there's a notch, and then adjacent to this barracks room that you investigated previously, there are a set of stairs that lead down. There's a mild, cold wind. No, wind is probably too strong for it. It's more of a
Chill.
draft that comes up the steps towards the three of you as you draw near, and it just leads deeper into the complex.
That's
Good.
not up.
Did Karmeon leave behind the 2 weapons he was carrying,
3?
the mace and the morning star?
Yeah.
All right. just
Yeah,
making
no, he
sure.
put this down. Yeah, no, he's got nothing. Karmeon yet again goes, "That's not up," and then starts heading down the stairs.
Well, we can't go back. She follows after.
There is a draft. That is at least promising.
Yeah.
Better than dead, stale air.
Yeah.
All right.
And then they all died.
No, not yet.
We found the secret grinding pit.
Oh dear. Oh no. Okay. So, well, I reload road 20 because that's weird. But I think we got the scene change in first.
Mhm.
You find yourself back sort of into the labyrinthine elements of this area, and again you're making your way down before you can find a way up. The cold air grows colder still as you step down, and you notice that the stone around you that the secret passage leads down into is similar to the admittedly narrow section of it that you were able to explore up above. The stone is very utilitarian, it's dark, it's clean, it's not very well traveled. At the bottom of the steps, rather than more closeted passages and hidden nooks, you instead find yourself stepping out into a hallway. And the hallway stretches to the left and the right, or the east and the west, if you're still, keeping track of that somehow underground. And it widens considerably. 4 people could stand abreast and walk comfortably through this area. But the stone continues to be this very different coloration. It isn't the white stone that you've become familiar with. It isn't even the white stone that was beginning to be veined through with lines of corruption into black from that previous excursion near the arena. Karmeon can see a little further than the others, but even so, there's very little to offer landmarks or interest. It's just a passage that leads one way and the other, with steps leading back up to the landing that you were just on.
Are we at this point just still waiting for roll 20 to reload?
Oh no, I'm here. I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, come on, Darkseer, lead us
Yeah.
on.
Karmeon's just gonna lead the way down the passage, and
Okay. Now it does go left or right. You will just need to choose which way you go, or you can take a moment to run any sort of tests you want.
Yeah.
Maida will slurp her finger and try to see which way the draft is coming from.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can tell that
Thanks,
this
Kory.
channel of air is sort of coming from the west to your left. And now that you're out of the steps, it's just a little stronger than it was before.
Maida
Did you say out
will
and to the left?
Maida
Sorry?
will
Did you
encourage
say
them
to the left?
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
to be quiet a moment, and she'll try to listen for any noise.
Okay. Go ahead and roll vigilant at neutral.
Ooh, spicy.
Oh god, I'm so worried about the rest of this campaign.
I
We're putting
know.
all of our vigilant rolls into this session.
It's gonna be fine. It's fine.
Say
So-
that as if we wouldn't have an end to the campaign if we weren't passing some vigilant rolls at last.
Mayor is gonna get us through like 10 fights on the way back.
You hear something, and it's difficult to tell exactly what. It sounds like a sort of almost a whistling. It reminds you of strong winds out in the wilds of Davokar when weather has been unfavorable. More so when there's been a storm coming, but it hasn't quite reached you. Which is strange, given that you're underground, and obviously this breeze is quite... It's just that, it's just a breeze, and it's hard to imagine it getting any worse, given that you're underground. Beyond that, you don't notice much. There's no sound of footsteps, there's no murmuring, there's no talking, aside from the shift here and there from Karmeon and Pekeme.
I hear nothing. We are alone. I suspect that we might be approaching caves, perhaps. We are quite underground, and it is strange that there is a wind, but it is coming from that way. Point.
Then let's-
Well, if there's a wind and there's caves, we might be able to find a long way out.
Yeah.
Lead on.
So you start heading that way, to the west along this passageway. And Mara is still holding a torch, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So the torch flickers just a little as you move. There is this wind that's becoming just a little more prevalent. Enough so that it can play with the flames. But it also sort of washes out the view around you, so you're not necessarily seeing much beyond that. Karmeon can notice there's a very slight bluish tinge ahead, but it's very diffuse. You can't see exactly what it's coming from yet. As you walk, the torch itself illuminates the walls, and again, they are this sort of plain, unmarked.
This is a real confusing question to ask.
Okay.
Given I'm in a relatively post-human state at the
Mhm.
moment.
I mean, you just have weird eyes.
Only
really.
your eyes.
No, yeah, but I'm only asking about a visual thing.
Okay.
Would this bluish tinge be enough for them to see by if it gets it any stronger?
He's saying if his eyes glow brighter, can we see him in the dark?
No, I'm saying could you guys see, like he's saying a bluish tinge is in a bluish light,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So they could probably see it. You would estimate if the torch weren't there. If you were standing in a group in the dark, you would be able to see a very faint light cast ahead of you.
Okay.
You think they would be able to see it too.
Okay. But not see by it unless it got stronger.
Correct. Yeah, it
Okay.
would not be.
Okay.
We're
Anything
drowning
to
it out with
navigate
our
by.
own light pollution.
You might
Mm-hmm.
be able to put the torch out in a bit. Karmeon optimistically suggests as he heads down. There's a light ahead.
Mm.
Not a normal light, though it's blue.
Keep the torch ready.
Yeah, no, keep it ready. I said in a
Okay.
bit.
Yeah, she's not going to extinguish the torch just yet. She'll wait till Karmeon says that it might be a good time. But Maida definitely doesn't want to be a beacon of light if there's light ahead.
Mm-hmm. So you continue on, and this chamber, I guess I should say, the hallway itself is higher yet than it was above. And you remember it was 10 or 11 feet or so. That was the standard dimension in that complex that you'd been investigating.
So we can't even see it by torchlight.
You can. I mean, your torch is strong enough that it illuminates the ceiling, but it is the stairs were long and it was a little disjointed, right? Like it was difficult to get a full sense of scale as you were packing down one after the other. But you must have dropped enough that these halls reach 14, maybe 15 feet above you, which is odd given how plain they are. It's not. It doesn't seem like it matches some sort of ceremonial quality necessarily. As you continue forward, Karmeon will note first, and then you others will, that there's an archway bracketing the hallway to the left and to the right. In the glow, which you can now start to see even with the torch, bleeds through from the right archway. The passage does continue on past, but it looks like something between an intersection and, I don't know, like an intermediary point lies ahead of you.
Yeah, it's getting better. Karmeon will point out as he leads the way towards the potential intersection.
Well, that depends on what's at the end.
I just meant the lighting.
So you reach this intersection, or at least near enough to it. You can decide as I describe it here. As you get closer, you see that the left archway is enormous. I mean, it takes up the full extent, floor-to-ceiling height that it is allowed to, and it extends maybe 9 or 10 feet left and right. There are enormous metal doors swung open to reveal a sort of cobblestone and regular stone pathway that stretches out into the dark, gradually winding down into the left, so that Karmeon, you can't see more than 30 or so feet away. It seems like it might be a road or some other fashion of I don't know, contraption, but it seems bizarrely out of place with where you are now.
Yeah.
And it certainly goes deeper yet. There are grooves, and there are grooves that all of you can see as they get nearer that look like some sort of wheels have sunk into the stone by just sheer repetition that lead from that through the archway to where you now stand and to the right where this glow comes from. And if you look to the right, the archway is much the same, but there are no doors. There's no evidence that doors were ever there. Nothing lies on the ground. Nothing hangs open. And within is an immense chamber, hundreds of feet across in each direction. It looks like it's roughly circular, but you can't tell all that well because there's a dais in the middle. And it's a very wide dais. It kind of occupies the center of the room, but it might be 70 feet or 80 feet wide. And around it are these sort of bleacher-ish stone seating that occupies most of the room that puts a central focus on this dais. And the dais holds in the air perhaps 40 to 50 feet in diameter, a suspended bluish orb that is clearly of no natural design that hangs in the air and radiates cold out towards you. This seems to be the source of the wind. There's a channel of chill air that's now quite a bit stronger that you stared at directly that blows out. And it seems to sweep through the room itself. You can see eddies of dust whirling this way and that along the audience chamber, and also coming out towards you. And it's enough that Peikome's armor starts to feel quite a bit chilled as she considers it. The only other thing in the room that you can see, and it's difficult not to see it because it's dominating the view between you and this orb suspended in the air, is a figure who stands frozen, perhaps only 10 feet away from the orb. So that's, maybe 30 feet away from you, and it is on the dais itself. You can't make much of the figure because it isn't facing you, but it stares at the orb, and it appears to be a man, perhaps 6.5 feet or so tall, who is clad in a sort of a fur cloak that obstructs most of the view of his back, but he has a hand out to the side that's sort of frozen, and it holds a half-drawn iron sword that sort of disappears into the cloak and presumably a scabbard beneath. His other hand is stretched up towards the orb and similarly frozen. Not in the sense of being encased in ice or anything, it's just totally rigid. It's clearly a person, or so you think, but it's as still as a statue.
So it's more of like a frozen in place, like a paralysis sort of look, or
Yeah,
over,
I mean,
encased in ice?
it's difficult to be sure because you can't really see anything of them. The cloak,
There's no outside force that we can see.
right? Yep, but they seem to be either holding themselves exceptionally still, or they are frozen by something.
Mira looks around for a rock.
Oh,
Pekome is going to walk forward a bit. How
Do not
well
get too
lit is
close.
the room?
Yeah.
it is very well lit. So the light that pulses off of this orb is strong. I mean, it's stronger and brighter than a full moon would be in Davokar. So
Has
everything
it-
is cast in this stark, cold blue light. Yeah.
Has it blown out my torch?
Nope. Your torch is there. It is very underwhelming. The light from your torch is
Useless.
hard to see. Yeah, it's effectively useless, and the flame is flickering in the eddies of air that are sort of washing over this area, which is the only thing that really gives it any sort of life, because obviously the scene around you is somewhat frozen, but the wind is fitful and capricious, I suppose.
What is the ground like here?
So the ground itself is the same sort of stone that has made up the hallway that you've noticed.
Okay.
The dais, which occupies most of the ground, is not. The dais is made of the same white stone that occupies the higher levels of the building that you've been exploring.
Okay. So everything has a sort of manufactured, purposeful look to it.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
very, very purposeful.
Are there any like stains on the dais that we can see, or is it like immaculate?
It's immaculate. It has a somewhat oddly reflective quality, or a bit of a gleam to it, as if there's, I don't know, like a layer of something on it, or some other addition that you've not noticed previously. But that's the only real discrepancy. There aren't stains, there aren't objects. There's nothing quite like that.
Well, with the road and all of these bleachers, Pekome gestures, this was some important meeting place of some kind.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean,
There wasn't another way in here. The tower wasn't supposed to be the way in. Maybe this is like a meeting place of various areas?
yeah.
She glances over to see what Mayor is doing.
Mayer's looking in her backpack. She's got
For
her
a rock.
hand rummaging around. She pulls out a bar of soap.
Okay.
How far away is this person?
So have you've stepped in a little from the doorway at this point, I think?
Yeah. I think we're in the room, but like haven't really approached.
Pekome is a bit in the room. She's not like right up there, but she's taken a few steps to look around.
Okay. So Pekome is probably about 15 feet behind this person.
Oh wow. Okay.
It is, yes, a very, very large room.
Mira will throw the bar of soap at the person.
You
Okay.
can roll a 1 and hit me in the back of the head.
Listen, I am a marksman. I can totally use accurate, right?
Yeah, go ahead and roll accurate to throw soap at this figure.
Chat, think small numbers. Small numbers, chat. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1,
Like
1, 1, 1.
20.
Huh, that works. That's neat.
Okay. Yes. So
So she's chucking it like, you know what? It's a bar soap. She's chucking it pretty solidly. Like, she wants to make contact.
Just an overhead throw, like baseball pitch, straight into them.
Yeah, like if this was like a, you know, if this was Karmeon, he would feel it, right? And it would hurt.
Where's it gotta be Karmeon?
Well,
Well, Karmeon is a bit of a waif. He feels a lot.
no, because Karmeon's not in a suit of armor, of plate armor. It would just bounce off of Pekome.
Donk. Alright, so what's the dramatic conclusion of the soap attack?
So the dramatic conclusion of the soap attack is that Mara whips the soap at this figure, and it solidly connects just a little below the left shoulder. And there's a quiet thud as it hits this fellow's cloak, and then bounces off.
Do we see
And it
the
clatters to the ground and kind of smears away. But one thing you notice is that beyond the figure not responding at all, you do notice that, of course, is the cloak itself doesn't respond at all, too. The cloak seems frozen in motion, as if it had been blown about by the wind or by something at some point. But now, it's not moving at all. It is utterly inert, and even being hit by something like the soap has not changed that.
So there's
Karmeon,
no
she
dent
looks
in the
back.
cloak from where
Yeah.
the soap hit?
No doubt. There's a little bit of a smear from the soap, but that's all.
Do you see any more of those weird symbols around here?
No?
Well, then hopefully
Does
that means
Karmeon see any more of those symbols that mean, spike trap awfulness?
or pitfall trap awfulness.
Karmeon
well,
does not. No, there's no real ornamentation. Everything is very stark here when it's cast in that light. The stone is rudimentary, except the dais and the bleacher type seating area, which is all that white stone, but it's unadorned.
Did it get colder when I got closer?
Yep.
And the ball, is it like an energy? Does it look solid?
It does not look solid. It is. It is a. Sorry.
Nothing.
Okay. It's. Yeah, it's a little difficult to perceive in one way. I mean, it's solid, it's there, but it is.
Is it like a pulsing light or a constant light?
It's pulsing. It's not entirely constant, or
like it fades a bit and grows,
it
or
flickers. Yeah, a little like your torch, but writ large, and the flickers seem to parallel just a little bit with the gusts of wind that fill the area. The light, it is this pale blue in color. As I've said, it's very kind of stark and harsh, but not altogether strong or intense. And the orb, I mean, it hangs in the air almost like a miniature sun of sorts. The center is difficult to perceive just because it's so white, while the edges are a little more of that bluish color. And I don't know, it appears as if it's like, I don't know, it might be hard. You don't know what would happen if you were to touch it, whether you would touch something solid or whether you would be able to sink into something or not.
Ada reaches into her backpack.
She's
Okay.
gonna like pull out an arrow and shoot the sun.
She pulls out another bar of soap.
Okay. Yeah, you weren't using them for anything.
That's fine.
Maybe we just follow the wagon tracks away.
The
Mayra,
passage did also continue, by the way, beyond those two archways.
Mayra will toss the bar of soap at the moon.
Yeah. So, I was gonna say you don't need to roll accurate, but that's fine.
It's even better this time.
So
Oh my
she
God.
slings this bar of soap over the head of this figure that is frozen. And the bar of soap kind of pierces the outer shell of this globe hanging in the air, and immediately vanishes. It's just enveloped. There's a ripple, however, of something just a little darker that fans out from that mark, the imprint that the soap would have left if it didn't disappear, and it kind of courses like a shadow around the entire perimeter of this kind of thing that's hanging in the air. And then there's sort of a bluish dart that emanates out, and it sort of retraces not a straight line, but the arc that the soap took
Uh-oh.
towards Mayra.
Mayra's gonna scoot out of the way, just like dive off to the
Mhm.
left.
Okay, so yeah, it starts zipping out. Mayra, roll quick
Oh
at
my god.
-2.
Oh my god, -2. Ugh.
Yep.
Don't mess this up.
Oh god. I only have like 5 hit points. I have 3 hit points?
Well, maybe it won't do any damage and you'll just be perpetually frozen.
Oh my god.
Okay, so Mayra darts to the side, but not quite quickly enough. There's an ephemeral blue just streak through the air that catches her on the side as she springs away. To Pekome and to Karmeon, it doesn't really appear that anything more happens. There's no weight to the blow or anything like that. Mayra, I need you
Uh-oh.
to roll.
Please don't tell me that my character dies from chucking a bar of soap.
This is what happens.
Go
What
ahead.
happens for always judging the rest
You're
of us.
resolute
Oh,
at
you should
Isn't
say
your
0
resolute-
because my resolute's freaking awful right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at your resolute right now, but
Yeah, because we fought
unfortunately,
a couple of ghosts.
it's gonna have to be at -5.
What? What? Oh.
Can we get some Fs in chat?
Oh my god. Chat, I have to roll a 5 or lower. I have to roll a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5.
I
No,
don't think
3.
that's true.
I have to do 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Oh, fuck. Alright, everyone.
Get her over with.
Oh, 1, 1, 1,
Look,
1, 1,
that's
1,
still
1,
a
1.
15%
Oh.
chance.
Oh. Yeah.
Conversely, it was also an 85% chance to miss.
Oh.
So Mayra coils up and springs to the side. But then this blue dart from the blue orb touches her. And she's already begun to gain momentum. She's springing away. She's a little stretched out. And she freezes in place.
Oh no.
She's off balance. She looks as though if she were not moving, she ought to fall to the ground because she's caught mid motion like that. But she just rigidly halts in place about 3/4 of the way through, a leap away from the spot where she was standing when she threw the soap.
Karmeon backs into the hallway.
Pekome immediately rushes over.
To Mara?
Yes.
So I'm
Okay.
still holding the torch. Is the fire still flickering?
The fire is not flickering. The fire is as still as Mara is.
Can I feel heat as I get close, like from the torch?
You cannot.
Okay. Pekome's gonna like try to shake Mayra.
Okay.
She's not exactly thinking too well right now.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So Pekome reaches out and touches Mayra, and unfortunately it doesn't freeze in place quite the same way. She tries to shake Mayra, and it's immensely difficult. Now, Pekome has traveled with Mayra for quite some time and knows that she's a lot stronger than Mayra is and should be able to shake her really as much as she likes. But
Why gotta say it like that?
Mayra doesn't budge, or she budges, but not nearly as much as you think she should. There's a little bit of a shift this way and a little bit of a shift that way. But it's like you're trying to move like a statue of Mayra more than Mayra herself.
Does Mayra have like a loose article of clothing? She's got like her hood, right?
Yeah, so she's got a mask on and a hood on.
All right. Pekome's gonna try and like pull the hood like very hard. Because she doesn't like if something breaks, she wants it to not be Mayra.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there's a little bit of a cracking sound as you pull on the hood, and it folds back, and then it snaps, and then the upper, really the entire conical part of the hood snaps away from the rest of the garment and is left inside Pekome's gauntleted fist.
So it broke off.
It did, yes.
All right.
Is that part
Karmeon,
still frozen?
Karmeon, do not move them. Is the broken part back to normal, or do I still feel the like weight behind it?
So it does not feel heavier than it ought to. It feels quite normal. It isn't behaving like fabric should. It's still kind of frozen in the same shape that it was when it was connected to Mayra.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels ordinary in terms of structure and heat, or weight.
Just broke my hat.
Pekome's gonna go back to Karmeon, hand him the like ripped off chunk of hood, and tell him to figure it out while she goes back to look over it. Mayra.
So Pekome and Karmeon, when you look at Mayra without a hood, what you see is that the mask that she's wearing, it still covers her face. It's kind of as if it's secured around the bridge of her nose, under her eyes, kind of like hooks over her ears and across her ears. So it's kind of like a band just all the way across her face, kind of like a skirt. So you don't see the bottom half of her face, but the top part of her head, you can see that she has absolutely no hair on her skull other than her eyebrows. You can see that she has very distinctly the sharpened ears of something that's like an elf, but not quite an elf. And on her head, especially the back of her head, you can see these kind of ornate etchings, kind of. They look like they're these like colorless lines that are sort of grooved into her skull, but in a way that doesn't look quite like a scar, doesn't look quite like a tattoo or anything. It just looks more organic, and it has these sort of like strange kind of crackling lightning like tendrils sort of across the back of her skull. You can see that it kind of like goes down underneath the mask. And they kind of curl around her ears as well. So she's bald.
She very bald.
Okay.
She's very
Karmeon will
visibly
wander
not
back
human.
into the chamber and, fiddle with the,
The physics of the cloth.
yeah.
Meanwhile, Pekome will take off one of her gauntlets and first try to see if Mayura feels cold, and then try to see if she can find a pulse.
Okay. Mira feels strange. It isn't quite cold. You don't necessarily feel what you describe as a chill. It's not like you're touching ice or touching cold stone or something like that. But it is not heat. It's like when you touch Mira, you're touching sort of in absence.
And am I able to find a pulse?
Nope.
That's bad.
Oh,
Karmeon!
yeah,
Do you still have that wood?
yeah.
We're gonna make a fire.
Oh god.
I'm not sure that's the best plan yet. And it seems like I don't know the properties of this wood when burnt.
Pekome is gonna shrug at his attitude and then pull out her remaining torch, put it slightly, like a safe distance away from Mira, and just cover it in oil and light it.
Okay. So you've just sort of positioned it on the ground somewhat adjacent to Mira, is what I'm getting? Okay. Go ahead.
Not
That's
to
fine.
where she could be lit on fire, but she's trying to get the heat out there.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait,
That's-
wait. This is
Just-
cruel. Let's test all our plans on the other guy.
Do you want to get closer to that thing?
No, but I also wouldn't have thrown soap at it.
Pekome just stops and says, "Fair."
All right. All right. Give me the torch.
She tosses it to him.
All right, Karmeon will hopefully catch the torch, and if not, pick it up off. Actually, Karmeon just lets it hit the ground and then picks it up off the ground.
He goes to catch it and then just
Yeah.
stops.
And he's like, no. And then tentatively begins to approach. Taking there's a direct route to Frozen Man, and there's a circumspect route to Frozen Man that is the longest route to Frozen Man that takes you as far as possible away from the crystal on your way to Frozen Man.
Yeah.
He takes that second one.
Right. Okay.
And
Unavoidably, he does draw closer, though.
Yeah.
And then... What does he do? Is he...
Yeah, well, the plan seems to be just, can we melt a human being that's been frozen by this crystal?
Are you
Well,
trying to burn him?
Pekome's plan was more, let's give them heat back.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Give him heat back. But, assuming that holding the torch near to him
Jesus fuck.
doesn't even noticeably fix things, the next
Okay.
step is presumably hold the torch nearer to him.
Okay.
It's a progression.
Karmeon's gonna
Karmeon.
light the guy on fire.
So... Karmeon gets close, and as Karmeon draws closer,
Uh-huh.
he does notice that it gets colder and colder, feeling at least, as he draws adjacent to this frozen man.
Yeah.
Who is, I remind you, on the dais.
Yeah.
So it will take stepping up onto the dais with him to do this. You draw near, you kind of present the torch beside the man, and you notice that kind of at the haft of the torch, there are little plumes, not plumes is the wrong word, like little almost like a spider web of ice that begins to form along the wood that you're holding. But the flame still burns for now, and it burns next to this man, and it doesn't seem to do anything.
And what if it burns when... Does he have exposed flesh?
So are you kind of beside him, like in equal distance from the globe to him, so that you can see him in profile now?
Not really. Is there exposed flesh where there isn't being beside him, but instead...
So from behind, you basically only see the cloak, the hand to the side, the hand in front, which is quite a ways from you if you're behind him, and kind of a helmet.
Yeah,
so
jab torch into hand on the side, held to the side.
Yeah, and that hand is gloved. And it's holding the hilt of a sword.
It's a sacrifice that will have to be made.
Right. So the flame
Jesus fuck.
licks
Oh my
over
God.
the fist of this person. And there's no immediate smoke or charring, actually. It seems like nothing's happening.
It's not working?
Well, stop trying to light him on fire then.
Well, okay. Karmeon pulls the torch back and starts retreating. It is really cold up there.
Pekome is gonna try something simple and just like pull out her sleeping roll from her pack and then just like put it in between Mayor and the light and see if maybe blocking the light from her helps at all.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't. Nothing happens, but it's a good idea. And Pekome, shakes out the sleeping bag and sort of uses it to shield Mayra from this orb, but Mayra does not react to it in any way.
Pekome gives a deep sigh. Karmeon,
Yeah.
we're gonna try to move the other guy. We're gonna apply equal force all over.
Do you have better plans you aren't suggesting?
Your plan was light him on fire.
My plan was your plan, just on someone else.
We could try magical fire. She looks back to the giant sword on her back.
Let's try moving him first. Yeah, let's move him.
Right. Pekome is going to make her way over. And to get ready to move him, she's gonna like cradle his head and his chest and like put his shoulder up against her chest. Like she doesn't want anything important to be left back. You know?
Okay.
Because
no, I'm sorry.
she's
Just the way
assuming
you phrased that was really funny.
Well, she's assuming the hood ripped because the rest of Mayura was still there.
Yeah, of course. No, that makes 110% sense.
Like
she
a
doesn't wanna,
bodily shove instead
So
of
she
a
doesn't want to
pointed
like
one.
leave the head and then just rip.
Yeah.
Just a floating head.
Okay. So you've got a hold on pretty much everything at this point.
Yeah. Karmeon just holds exactly where told.
We're gonna push slowly.
Yeah.
If you see any cuts or
If
you
you're
feel
still
or you
in there, sir, I'm really sorry.
if you see any cuts, you feel anything like there might be bone damage, we stop.
Now that you've moved onto the dais, sort of adjacent to this guy, you can actually see him. So that's a plus, kind of.
What's
I guess
his
depending on how it
expression?
goes. So, yeah, that's actually kind of why I was bringing it up. So he has a helmet that covers a fair amount of his face. It isn't necessarily a design that you're familiar with. It's sort of a conical cap with a cheek and face and nose guard, but his cheeks, like the lower part of his cheeks, his jaw, you might even say, the way humans are put together, is uncovered, save for sort of a stubbly beard, which makes it a little difficult to read his expression. However, he has a pretty determined set to his face, but his eyes are a little wider than you would expect for someone looking, stalwart and determined. And given the way that he has his other hand raised up in front of him, it looks almost recoiling, as if he were reaching for something and then began to flinch back before freezing in place for who knows how long.
1,000 years.
Right, time to
Doesn't
push.
bode well for Mera. All right.
Yeah.
So go ahead and roll strength, just a neutral strength test.
Both of us?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
It's not a 20,
Oh,
and that's a 1.
Not sure that's a good combination. Go ahead and confirm, Karmeon. Okay, great.
Look, see, Pekome was focusing on cradling, Karmeon's focusing on pushing.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so Karmeon sets into pushing with a will. I mean, he already tried to light this guy on fire, so he's not going to let anything hold him back, right?
Karmeon, the serial killer.
Sort of starts pushing, and there's quite a bit of resistance at first. Maybe Pekome is helping, maybe she isn't. She's sort of busy holding on to him in an odd fashion. That might be.
She's probably like too concerned to like use real force.
Yeah, she's a little more concerned for his well-being, and Karmeon continues to push, and then there is a shift. I'm assuming Karmeon's pretty low on this guy's frame, all in all, given how Pekome described hanging on.
Yeah,
Is
that
that
and her
accurate?
being much taller than him.
Yeah, that's true. So Karmeon's kind of pushing like shoulder into the hips, like, an arm around the leg, like he's tackling this guy almost.
Hmm.
And then there's not a crack per se, but sort of a tremor, a shift. And the man partly prizes free from his position on the dais. And it's a good thing that Pekome is there to sort of guide the fall, because the man, without actually relaxing and without shifting, is suddenly broken free from his position. And he sort of falls backwards, stiffly, as a statue might. And Karmeon pushes him free from his perch. And at that point, the man is still unchanging, but he is loose from the ground. And it's kind of up to the two of you whether he falls to the ground, is carried, or what.
Yeah,
is
Karmeon's
the
gonna hold on.
general resistance gone? There's just now like the weight of him being an unmoving.
Correct.
person.
So he is an unmoving person, but he isn't heavier necessarily than you might expect.
Mhm.
Or maybe he is a little bit, but it isn't quite the same.
It's like moving a statue that doesn't have the foundation.
Right. Yeah, very similar to that. There might be a little unnatural weight to him that you don't think should be there, but it isn't by any stretch of the imagination the same resistance that you felt when you started trying to bowl him around.
All right, Karmeon, let's see if getting him out of this room helps.
Okay, yeah. Karmeon just goes where directed and carries the man wherever the closest exit is.
Yeah. So the only exit that you're aware of is the one that you came through, which
Yeah.
leads back out into the hallway.
I thought the passageway continued.
It does. That's outside of this chamber, though.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you said closest.
You know.
So you step through that massive portal.
Hey Stella,
out
are you
into
gonna
the
like
hallway.
your new character? You get to be like cool fur coat guy. Or we're just gonna put you up on the dates.
Just take the new guy.
I've got a slightly warm hand.
Someone lit your hand on fire.
Yeah. So you carry him outside and to the hallway, and then what?
He doesn't change at all now that we're at...
He does not change at all. Really, the only difference is that you're moving him around now.
We set him down. Karmeon sets him down.
Mm-hmm. So, Bekome will tell Karmeon to like keep him steady for a moment, and then roll out her bedroll, and then put him down on that.
Okay. Yeah, so you do arrange him, and he certainly makes no concessions for the fact that he's on a bedroll. It's a little awkward to try and find a point to settle him, because he keeps sort of awkwardly rolling to one side or the other. But you've got him there, and he's there, and it doesn't really seem to be doing anything. But he, and by proxy maybe Mera, is portable at least.
Mm-hmm. All right, Karmeon, let's get Mayra over here. So if we can figure out how to help him, she'll be helped too.
Yeah. I mean, so this didn't fix anything, but it could have killed him. Maybe we should. I don't know.
I still think you should try lighting that wood.
I mean, Karmeon just eventually does pull out a piece of wood and say, "Okay, hold the
old
torch."
wood?
Yeah.
Okay. She holds it. She holds it out.
And he'll just kind of shove the wood, the one stick, forearm-sized stick, right into the torch.
Oh, okay.
Oh god. Don't say it like that.
I'd like you both to make resolute rolls for me.
At
Neutral.
Oh jeez.
we're all statues.
No, you're not a statue. It's fine.
No, the statue shot was a quick and then resolute -5.
Yeah.
Have
Okay.
you tried being
So the tree or the branch, the wood, does burn, and it takes to the fire very keenly. It is, of course, very dry, as we mentioned earlier, so there's not a lot stopping it from lighting up. Glooms of this sort of yellowish and purplish smoke just roil away from the wood as it burns, and the wood burns much faster than you may have been expecting. It's visible how quickly it starts working the way down that arm length of wood. Excuse me. The scent that Karmeon, could smell earlier at the base of the tree has carried with this wood a little bit, but now it's sort of overtaken by this very sweet and very sort of sickly, thick scent that gets inside your nose and just stays there. And the smell kind of plumes out, and the vision for both of you starts to kind of smart as your eyes sting and burn, and the smoke that kind of is pervasive and goes just about everywhere. and you start feeling a little dizzy.
Are we getting high?
That might be in the eye of the beholder there. But you do feel a little precarious and unsteady right now.
Well, does the stick help the guy at all?
What exactly? How are you, using it on him?
Well, Karmeon's the master.
Specifically, now that there's this interesting smoke effect. I mean, maybe trying to get the smoke towards his face, he's not breathing, but just seeing what the smoke exactly does to his physical form, but especially trying to get the smoke into his face.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Would be,
So that whole excuse me, maneuver works in the sense that you do kind of wreath him in smoke, and then you put a lot more of the smoke in his face. You're also wreathing yourselves in smoke at this point, and the dizziness is getting a little more pronounced. But it doesn't really appear to have an effect on him. He's still this unmoving, unresponding person-shaped thing.
All right, I guess at that point, not having any success. Any ideas?
Not any good ones.
Okay, Karmeon tosses it down and starts stamping the fire out.
She steps
Best
a bit
as you
away.
can.
Sure. Karmeon, go ahead and roll Vigilant.
Okay.
Ooh.
Wow.
Nice. So down the passageway that you came from, you see a set of very large, very orange eyes as a large serpent kind of snakes its way in your direction. It's still 80, 90 feet away. And it's not moving very quickly. You can't even tell if it's moving very hostilely, honestly. But it's there, and it is edging closer.
I think we're going to have to fight or leave them. Karmeon comments, well, still kind of making sure that the flame gets put out, and then we'll kind of snatch it back up again and shove it away.
The second thing is not an option.
Okay, well, can you set up a bear trap?
Why?
I don't know if it's the same, and Karmeon's gonna get out a bear trap and pass one over and kind of head to the passageway. It's like the way in, and kind of start setting his own bear trap up and be like, it's not necessarily the same kind of horrible undead snake, but maybe it is, and maybe it's the live version.
If it is, you should stay away.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Pacomi's just gonna kind of like drop the bear trap and not even set it up.
All right, Karmeon sets up one bear trap and
Because if it
keeps
is
an eye
a
down the hall.
giant snake thing, she thinks the bear trap's just gonna piss it off more than anything.
Okay, and are you doing anything else during this period, or is that it?
Pull out her sword and shield.
Okay.
Hey, if it's maybe the other sword.
Who's holding the torch right now?
Karmeon was.
Okay. Well, he was holding the wood.
Yeah, no,
that
he passed the
stamped out.
torch too.
To light it. And
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, the torch will have to be stabbed into his sconce or packed back pass back to Karmeon.
Can I put it in the guy's open hand?
I mean, he won't hold it. You can put it there.
But can I tie it to his open hand?
You can tie it to his. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Making this guy useful.
Tie a torch to this man's hand.
All right, cool.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so you do that. Meanwhile, Karmeon, you see this snake that appears to fill the corridor almost to its very limit. Advances. It must be still 60 feet away, maybe 50. So it's still some time before it will reach you, and some time before Pekome presumably can see it. But it is coming. What else are you doing?
That snake, can you talk?
You don't hear any response beyond what you suddenly do hear, which is the sort of scrape of scales on stone, and a brief sort of sibilant hiss from the snake.
Yeah, okay. Karmeon will, I guess, withdraw a little further and maybe see if he can get the other bear trap set up.
Mm-hmm.
That's just on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, he'll just set it up right in front of the other one.
Sure.
All right, now that we've got a source of light, Pekome will go get ready to defend.
Okay. Yeah, so Pekome has lashed a wooden torch to this frozen statue of a man who's half lying down on your bedroll.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine. And now that Karmeon has prepared, is he going to be doing anything with Meira, with himself, or is he just kind of trying to stay out of the way and
head
watch?
back to Meira and stay out of the way and think.
Okay, that's fine.
Right, Karmeon, do you want to test out the bad options while I fight this thing?
What?
Splash some water, give a small cut on a hand.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll and then Karmeon kind of just gets to it and kind of fish out his stiletto and give Meira a poke on the hand.
Not the guy right next to us. You just go over and poke Meira in the hand.
Well,
Listen,
he's overprotecting Meira.
I have 3 hit points. Make them count.
Meira is unresponsive, and that extends to her hand. As you kind of line up the stiletto, you notice there's no dimple of flesh from the pressure of the blade.
Yeah.
And if you push, it doesn't.
Yeah, actually, he probably
cut
won't
into it.
push, and then he'll kind of just like try and cut some hair, as that
Okay.
might be,
Yeah. So
What hair?
yeah, the problem being that she doesn't have hair.
Doesn't she have a wig?
No.
Well, she had
I
a
thought she
hood,
had a wig.
but Pekome
Nope.
destroyed that.
Kory, do
Um,
not listen to the description at all.
I don't
She
know.
does
I
have.
just assumed
She
there
has
was a wig.
eyebrows.
Yeah, eyebrows.
Oh my god, do not fuck with my eyebrows.
Maybe you should have thought of that before chucking soap at some eldritch horror.
So I'm sorry, just so that I've got the right image here. You initially, Karmeon sort of lined up the stiletto with her hand, but nothing happened. And instead of testing it, he was like, "I'm gonna move on to hair."
And
And
then
then-
he probably did try her bald head, and then he was like, "She
Oh,
doesn't
right.
have hair here," and then he's
Yeah.
like,
So now he's trying to shave off her eyebrow.
"Just a little, does it say anything?"
Meira's gonna wake up and be like, "What the fuck happened?"
So Karmeon lines up the blade.
Listen, Meira doesn't have much hair to begin with, and you're gonna take
Yeah, well, you know, you
Half
don't
her
have many
eyebrow.
hit points either, so take your choice.
Okay.
So Karmeon lines it up and kind of pushes the blade against the hair of her eyebrows, and there's a lot of resistance, far more than any hair ought to have. It's clear you're pushing up against something else. Go ahead and roll strength if you want to push the issue.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have many great ideas.
Yeah,
Pekome
so
did specify these were the bad ideas.
definitely that is true. So Karmeon leans into it, and gradually, there's a little bit of give, and then a little more, and then it's gone all at once. And Karmeon sort of scrapes the blade along the skin on the ridge of Mera's brow, and the hair does sort of come free. It is cut free, and yeah. So now Mera sort of has one rudimentarily shaved brow.
Lesson learned: never get turned into a statue in front of Karmeon.
Yeah, no, next step is pour water on head and slap in face.
Okay.
Hey, she didn't suggest the slap.
So the water kind of runs over Mera, just as it might be expected to, like water does. You slap her in the face. It's like slapping something very hard. It makes your hands sting, but neither of those really elicit a response.
I got a really bad idea.
Do you want to do my really bad idea first?
What's yours?
Chuck a torch into that crystal.
It's almost... I was gonna chuck anything that wasn't a torch into the crystal, hide behind Meira, and see if it hits her again, what happens?
What if we don't do that? That seems way worse.
You're... okay, but I'm still hiding behind her if I chuck a torch at it.
Or just get out of the way.
I don't want to get hit.
Just get out of the way.
Look, if you... No! I'm not throwing anything at it.
God, I hate you.
If you fall to the snake, then... we don't have a backup plan.
Yeah, well then you don't have much to worry about anymore, do you?
I have everything to worry about.
I don't know, go see if your eyedroppers work on the guy.
I only have one left.
You only have 2 eyes.
But what happens if you put 2 in 1?
Kevin, do we get attacked yet? Can I be in combat, please?
So Pekome stands staring down the hallway, and she doesn't see anything.
Are you sure there was a snake?
Yeah?
She waits another moment.
From where you stand, Karmeon, you can hear that the snake is quite close at this point. It's drawing near, but given that you're inside the chamber with Meira now, you don't have direct line of sight. But, you know, it is advancing. You can tell. You can hear it now that
it's still
closer.
coming.
Pekome feels like she should really be able to see something by now, but she doesn't.
At this point, she's starting to get skeptical, and she's just gonna step back, grab the torch and cut it free, and try to look and see
Wait!
if she can see the snake.
Okay. What does Karmeon shout wait about?
Karmeon fishes in his pack, pulls out the eyedropper, and tosses it over to Pekome.
That's a good way for it to break.
And says, "Catch!"
Okay, so Pekome, who's currently in the middle of putting away her sword, or cutting through a rope, holding a torch in the other hand, facing away from you,
It's an underhand catch. It'll have some airtime.
All right, Kevin, how many -5s is this?
I mean, it's probably just a flat, quick roll. Quick -1,
Oof.
All right, well,
which is
that-
still would have passed.
Okay. She,
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so she just spins around, like, leaves the torch, like, lets go of the torch with her empty hand. She hadn't fully finished cutting the rope because someone started chucking shit at her.
Mm-hmm.
And then just snatches this eyedropper out of the air.
There's only one reason that I can see it and you can't.
She just stares at him. I'm not putting the shit in my eyes.
Then get out of my way! And Karmeon starts marching forward and pulling out his rapier.
She puts the eyedropper, like, in the satchel to her side,
Okay.
and then goes back to getting her torch.
Yeah. Okay. So she cuts the torch free without too much issue, I hope. Actually, hold on.
Wait. Oh, because I'm still wobbly. Is this it?
Yeah. Guess.
Oh, ow.
Would it be? I'm trying to think if you would roll accurate, which is a really bad roll for you. It turns out.
Accurate's almost only for ranged.
Yeah, well, I'm just see what I'm trying, because you're trying to cut it free around the arm of a person that
maybe
you
vigilant?
don't want to hurt. Yeah, we can say vigilant. Go ahead and roll vigilant to see whether you manage to, not.
At?
-1.
Stella, you're the only one who gets -5. Stop trying to make everyone else get -5.
I said flat.
Yeah, she said flat. Okay, yeah, so you do manage to kind of carefully cut through whatever bindings you use to lash the rope into place, or not the rope, the torch into place. You manage, as far as you know, not to like lay any deep gashes into this fellow's hand. Congratulations. And you have yourself a rope. Karmeon.
Well, I have
meanwhile-
myself
oh.
2 rope.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why I keep saying rope when I want to say torch. You have yourself a torch. They're basically the same thing. Karmeon, meanwhile, steps out into the hall. And the snake is still there, and it's still drawing closer. It's perhaps 20 feet away, if that. The sound...
Karmeon
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
settles into a stance. And it almost looks competent.
Yeah.
As he makes a V out of rapier and stiletto and stares down the oncoming snake.
Uh-huh.
And then he just waits.
Okay, yeah, so he waits. What does Pekome get up to now?
She's gonna hold the torch out a bit in front of her and try and see if there is this so-called snake.
Pekome stares down the hallway and hefts her torch, and she gets a vision. You can probably see about 15 feet quite clearly, and another 10 at least in more murky detail. But she can't see anything. It doesn't look like there's anything there. She is not privy to the sound of this snake scraping, which for Karmeon is almost uncomfortably loud at this point. The snake is almost upon you now.
How close is this snake, Karmeon?
Good 15, 20 feet? Don't you hear it?
Karmeon, I think those eyedroppers are making you crazy. There's no snake.
Okay.
At this point, Pekome's gonna go do her stupid plans. Because she's under the impression there is no snake.
Okay. So she steps back in towards
She's
where
gonna go
the arrow
walk
is.
over to the dais and First thing she's gonna do is like inspect it closer.
Okay. Yeah, it appears to be. I mean, it is just a stonework dais. It's huge, but it's also not very special to the eye. The stone is obviously that white stone that's kind of immaculate and really, really cool, but it hasn't been fashioned with any special detailing or anything like that. And it looks
There's like
uniform.
no carvings, markings, or anything. It's just like a flat, clear-cut slab.
Yep, there are 2 steps up onto it, and that's it. It's all flat otherwise.
She is going to put her sword away.
Okay.
Look up at the crystal, like tense her muscles to like get ready to move, and then chuck the torch at it.
Oh my god. Okay. So she's at the foot of the dais?
Mm-hmm.
Or she's on... Okay, she's at the foot of it. Yeah. Okay. So Pekome slings the torch up at this orb, and it connects in much the way that the soap did, and punches through the outer shell of whatever this thing is and vanishes. It disappears. It is consumed. Karmeon is in the hallway, and the snake slithers over the bear traps. You hear one snap, but it can't even really shut, because by the time the snake triggers it, it's too massive and it's just crawling right over it. Or slithering, I suppose. Crawling isn't really the right word. And then the snake is upon you. Do you attack right away? Do you try to get out of the way? What's the plan here?
I don't think Karmeon is great at attacking. In fact, he's terrible at it.
Yeah.
So he's gonna at least like give it a little ground and withdraw and see what it does.
It continues to advance down this corridor.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
At this point, you're basically in the threshold between the 2 doors to your left and your right, or the doorways rather, and it is immediately in front of you.
Yeah. Is it, if he like goes to the side, does it necessarily go after him, or is it just a snake going about its business?
Right now, that's a little unclear. Does he kind of try to skirt off to one side?
Yeah.
To find out?
Yeah.
Okay. So he kind of scuttles his way back into the room with the dais. Is that one, or is it the pathway out the other way?
Definitely. Well, actually, I feel like just letting it in the room and watching it pass for the moment is actually probably what Karmeon's gonna do, and he's gonna give it a few moments.
Okay. So he has he stepped back. So the snake continues on. Its head tilts as it passes by. It advances down this hallway, and its head tilts, and one amber eye just sort of fixes on you. And then it's passed, and it's continuing on, and it's rumbling, and you're just kind of struck by how immense this creature is.
You're really not seeing this?
So, do you glance
It's in there
back
now.
at Pekome while you ask that?
What? I mean,
Do you glance back at Pekome while you ask that, or are you staring at the snake still?
I mean, I thought I had like let it pass, so really, I'm out in the hallway. I can't.
It has begun to pass. Like its head.
Yeah, but I mean,
passing.
it should be blocking Pecum. Like, maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Oh,
but, like,
I think I could have misunderstood. Which side did you step towards Pekome or opposite her?
Like I
Further
let
away.
it go into this room.
He wanted it to go past him into the dice.
Yeah.
Oh,
He like
I'm sorry.
flattened himself
No.
against
Okay.
a wall.
I
Yeah.
understand. It is
Yeah.
continuing past. It is
Yeah.
not going into the room with the orb. It's following along the hallway.
Okay.
Like
Then okay.
perpendicular.
Yeah. Then he's not. Yeah, he's not going to Yeah, okay. He's definitely not gonna like let the thing drive him away from everyone.
Yeah. So he ducks
Yeah.
back towards them.
Yeah.
Is that what
Yeah.
I understand? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
But yeah, he'll still keep watching it.
Okay. Yeah. So the snake makes eye contact, like I mentioned. It continues in that straight line down the hallway, basically, beyond where you are. But after you make eye contact, you do hear this creature, or you presume it's this creature. It's not entirely sure or certain where the sound comes from. But there's this voice, and perhaps surprisingly, it is not sibilant or snake-like. You just hear this voice that's deep, and it just goes like, "You should not be here."
Do you have a way out?
So the snake just sort of continues going on, and you lose sight of its head as it continues on past. But the voice continues without being much quieter than it was in the first place. And the voice says, "Every way is out from here."
We'll go the way you don't. Thanks.
And the snake continues to rumble past. Now, as Karmeon looks back, he sees a bolt of blue retracing an arcing route a very short distance from the crystal. Well, not the crystal. I'm just calling it that because he keeps calling that. But the orb,
Kory
which
started
you
calling it
can
crystal
say
first.
crystal. That's fine. But the thing in the air. To Pekome. Pekome, I need you to make a roll of quick, and given your heightened proximity here, it's going to be -5.
Hey Stella, I'm part of the group now. -5. Are you proud?
Okay. So Karmeon has this conversation with the snake and turns around and sees this arc of blue dart out and touch Pekome almost before she even has time to flinch back, even with her preparation ahead of time, because there's just so little space. Pekome, go ahead and roll resolute -5. Or actually, you don't have any perks that bolster your.
The only thing I have is steadfast, which is if you consider this a physical effect, I would get a second chance to roll.
Manifested physically in forms of fire, acid, or something somewhere. No, okay. Just the ones.
That's all right.
This does not seem similar to fire or acid.
Well, it's in the sense of it's a physical thing you could get off or break through of.
Yeah. I totally understand. But yeah, super doesn't apply.
All right, it's a 25% chance.
Oh.
Okay, so Pekome flinches a little and grows unnervingly still to Karmeon's view. And yeah, this time at least she's not caught in that unnatural position where she shouldn't be able to hold it, right? Because Mayra sort of managed to get a little further in her attempt to escape before she was caught.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a large snake that had a very brief conversation with Karmeon, sort of rumbling through this massive corridor in the background. And actually, so you put the guy out in the hall, right? Did you?
Yep.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
he's
we
kind
did.
of-
We carried him out to see if.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not great for him.
So that is not great for him. So you are in this room, no longer with him, but with your two companions, who are each frozen, in their own way right now, in this pulsating crystal hanging in the air.
Everybody ready for my
well
one-on-one
above you.
session?
You notice there is another shadow flickering around the crystal now, in the wake of whatever it was Pekome threw at the crystal to provoke it. And it doesn't seem to be dissipating as quickly as that small shadow that was drawn forth by the soap that Meira threw.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that's where we'll end for tonight.
Okay.
Karmeon sort of staring at his two companions who have been gripped by the power of this mysterious source deep underground.
Oh my gosh.
Or blame Meira. Pekoma's not smart enough to be left alone.
Oh, thank you so much, Kevin. This was a very exciting episode. Wow. What the heck, man? I guess maybe we have to roll more characters.
Well, that depends on what
Karmeon
happens to
can't save
Karmeon.
us. Oh.
Karmeon just needs to scrap enough materials to get. He just needs to go head back to the beds up there and then fashion some sort of rudimentary sled.
Oh my gosh.
Just carry all three of us back.
And then,
I'm scared to see what
since it's
Karmeon's
a
list
rudimentary sled,
solutions are gonna be. Ugh. All right.
he's gonna have to head after the snake.
Thank you, friends, so much for coming by and hanging out with us here tonight. We're going to do a real quick round of shout-outs, and then we are going to go raid someone. First, we'll start with Kory. Is there anything you'd like to tell us? How do you feel? What was your favorite part of today's episode?
Well, I want everyone to know that I'm a streamer, and you can catch me at Twitch TV/UnusualPolishedWolfKappa. And I tend to stream dance games, mostly Christmas music, and also cooking.
That sounds like identity theft.
Unusual Polished Wolf Kappa?
Yeah, that was the most recently named clip.
Oh,
Okay. I didn't get it.
I was like,
I tried.
wow, that's
I was
very
like, well,
inventive.
To a clip.
Our dungeon master, Obdurant.
Hello. I'm Obdurant. I play video games and D&D and a lot of other things. You can catch me here every Wednesday-ish. And every other Friday, I'm also here playing Dark Matter with Stella as DM. And occasionally there's a bit of Destiny that goes on. We raid, sometimes we stream that. And that's about it.
Yes. So if you are interested in any TTRPG games, we do have a community here that partakes in that. And if you're interested in joining a game, getting in the loop with a game, you can definitely do so by joining our Discord. The link is there in the chat. Kevin the Natural DM, right? Can you believe that this is Kevin's first DM'd game? Doesn't he seem like he's a pro? That we
Like
are.
He knows what he's doing.
Like he knows what he's doing. I feel like I can learn a lot from Kevin.
It definitely seems that way.
Yes, and also if you like to play Destiny 2, we do have a guild or clan going on with that, and you don't have to join the clan to join in on our raids, but we do have regularly scheduled raids, and the coordination is also in the Discord there. Last but certainly not least, we have Vertigo Cross.
Hi, you can also find me at Crispy Racy Lard Honey Badger. I like to hang out with Stella on Mondays where we turn everything into a dating sim. And Thursdays and Saturdays are when I stream actual games from 6 to 8 hours.
I
Yeah.
hear you've got a killer Russian accent too. Right?
Assuming that everybody...
No, I've got a very
Don't
good
die.
nerd accent. You know, it's just Russia's got a lot of nerds.
Oh my god. Oh. And I am Stella Luna. You are here at my channel. I do variety streaming. I do things of the artsy-fartsy kind. On Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, I do my art stream, and then we do Symbaroum here at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You can catch me doing various D&D and TTRPG things here at my channel. And I'm also a player over on Scraticus's channel at 1 p.m. on Mondays. And yeah, Monday nights I am joined by Vertigo Cross, and we do saucy video game commentary. It is very exciting. Thank you all so much for coming by. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night, and we'll see you next time. Bye!